Man, it stinks that I was gone for a week and absolutely nothing worth talking about happened.
It's been 12 days.
12
since
days.
you and I were on together.
Unbelievable. I almost
cried,
forgot
man.
what you look. I was like, who are you?
I cried.
If you had shaved your beard, I would have thought, oh, we got a new producer.
You don't have to worry about that. Adam. You don't have to worry. I've cried every night, man. It's been 12 days since you and I have been on together.
Welcome into Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson, the South Carolina Gamecocks.
My bad.
Got the big dub. Did you see the woman who was in the front row of one of the shots during the South Carolina game? She was dressed like a Gamecock.
Yeah, I saw that. I really didn't know if it was supposed to be a Gamecock or what. That was just odd.
I thought it was Tiffany Irvin from WYFM. I know she's a big-time Gamecock fan and celebrity, but that lady, she was decked out. She stood up. She got into a pose. She did the
I don't know that I'd have been proud of that, but that's where she was.
How many beers do we think were in her system at that time?
White Claws, you mean?
White Claws. Okay.
White Claw.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna set the over under, Cole, at 5.5.
Oh, over.
Over? What if I set it at 7.5?
I'd say 7.5 is a better number.
Okay. Welcome into the show. The South Carolina Gamecocks are officially, Cole, in my mind. You can't change my mind. You can try. Clemson fans, come at me, bro, if you want to. South Carolina Gamecocks are playing CFP caliber football right now. The problem is you ain't getting into the CFP. It's not going to happen. You know, you had too many screw ups early, and I'm not even talking about the Ole Miss game. The Ole Miss game is kind of irrelevant at this point. You took that big L at home, coming off the bye to Lane Kiffin, but you lost the lead to LSU. You couldn't quite get it done on the road against Alabama. I'm saying, Cole, right now, and this is not, I'm not like breaking any ground here, okay? And I'm not pretending like I am. Mm-hmm. If South Carolina got one of those wins against LSU or Alabama, that is a team that is firmly in the college football playoff picture. Probably sitting at somewhere around number 10.
Yeah.
I'd have them number 10 in the country if that were the case.
And it'd be hard-pressed to argue why they wouldn't even be higher than that when you talk about teams like BYU or Indiana who haven't played near the competition they have.
Yeah, the South Carolina Gamecocks got the 34-30 win at home against Missouri. Tried to give it away there early in the second half, Cole.
Yeah,
but they put it all together and played a really good complimentary fourth quarter of football. And man, I'm telling you, this team has fully come out of the cocoon. You know, they've come out. They're a butterfly with big old metal spikes hanging off its legs. I know that a butterfly couldn't fly with a metal spike hanging onto its leg. You gotta just go with the analogy here for just a second. I mean, this is a sleeping giant that's come alive. And South Carolina Gamecock fans, I know that some of you may be a little disappointed that even if you go get that win here in 2 weeks on the road at Clemson, that you're not going to be in the college football playoff picture. But don't think that way. You can't think that way. You've never been in the playoff picture. Don't start bagging this program and the coaching staff or whoever you may want to try to blame just because you didn't make it there in the very first opportunity. But this team right here, Cole, is playing well enough that I think they very well could beat anybody in the top 4 in this in the current AP and CFP rankings. Yeah. And I think they would beat 5 out of 7 of the other teams sitting inside the top 12 right now.
I think so as well. And what's interesting is, you know, we when we Diesel heard that the playoffs were going to be expanded from 4 to 12 teams, the immediate reaction was, okay, now you can have some screw ups, right? Well, I think we've learned that, yeah, you can have let's keep it singular, a screw up. But the margin of error is so thin that you can't really add an S to the word screw-ups because South Carolina this season has had screw-ups, not a screw-up. The teams that have had a screw-up, Diesel, are still sitting inside contention for the playoff, and I think that's my biggest takeaway to this point in the middle of November is you can still have some mistakes, you can still have a blemish or maybe 2, but when you add that S and make it plural, you're really putting yourself behind the 8 ball, and it's going to be tough to make it in.
I was listening to Josh Pate's show, his Saturday show that he does every week, and he made a very astute observation with regards to what the college football playoff is and probably will become for the foreseeable future, a number of years. People thought that the college football playoff expanding to 12 was going to bring in more schools from more conferences, i.e., you're going to get that Indiana, if they lose to Ohio State, they may still have a chance to get into this thing.
Sure.
You're going to get more Big 12 teams in there. You're going to get more ACC teams in there. No, the hell you're not. Not with the caliber of football that's being played in the SEC right now. And look, I full well acknowledge that the SEC is playing the best football in college football, but I also will not automatically anoint a mid SEC team just because they're in the SEC. You have to be able to think more critically than that. And most fans don't, right?
Well,
they see that patch on the shirt and they say, oh, well, clearly this team is better than insert a team that's a couple spots higher than them in their respective conference rankings in the Big 10 or in the Big 12.
Right.
I don't necessarily believe that's true. I just think the SEC is playing very, very good football.
No, they are. It's funny you bring that up, and I have some notes from Saturday that I'll get to as well, Diesel, about the Gamecocks game or their win over Missouri, but we talked about that last week. It's funny you brought that up because I asked Kelly Ford the same thing. Wesley Roberts asked it on the stream. When you have the conversation that you just brought up, and we're going to get to Wild Style on the phone in just a minute, Diesel, you have to ask the question of when you're looking at resumes, when you're looking at overall bodies of work, if you're the committee, are you putting in the most deserving football teams or are you putting in the best teams? Because going back to your point, there are a lot of SEC teams that are crowding that space. There are other teams, though, that are better, in my opinion, like a South Carolina. And South Carolina is kind of a team that, in my opinion, can take the argument of, hey, we might not be the most deserving because of our blemishes, Diesel, but we feel like we're the best. You tell us, you prove to us why we're not the best team right now in college football.
Well, if we make this a best teams, then we're going to see this 12-team playoff have to expand.
It's going to have to,
because the Big 10 is going to be screaming, yo, we need more spots in here. The ACC is going to be screaming about it. The Big 12 is going to be screaming about it. And then, of course, Cole, if you just say best, you start allowing bias to come into the conversation. Right? Best is subjective. You can look at any particular stat that you want and say, well, clearly the SEC is just the best, so we got to put a whole bunch more SEC teams.
That's true.
There. And then you cloud your judgment and your ability to think more critically and say, all right, well, what's the most entertaining? What's going to be the biggest ratings getting idea? Because if you start going with best, we end up back in the same problem that made us expand from 4.
No, I'm with you.
Anyway, because then you're saying, oh, we got too many SEC teams in there. We got to have more variety. We got to have we got to have more Big 10. We got to have that West Coast audience. We got to have that Southwest audience watching this thing, because if you don't, I'm telling you, that's what will force this thing to expand again.
So the last thing I'll say before we get back into the game, I asked Chris Phillips this on Wednesday, Diesel, last week. To our point, to our conversation you and I are having right now, what we're doing is we're having a conversation. We're playing an argument that we've never played before. We're having a conversation that we've never had before. What I mean is, you're talking about a South Carolina team, right, that had blemishes early in the season. But right now, they're getting hot. Right now, you could argue that there's nobody hotter in the country. What the playoff expansion has done is allowed you and I to have the conversation of the hotter team making a run. And in Major League Baseball, in college basketball, in NBA, what do we say all the time? Yeah, the Dodgers are the best. Yeah, the Warriors are the best. But watch out for this team. Yeah. They get hot at the right time. They can make a run. Yeah. Well, college football had never allowed that to happen, because if you had too many blemishes early, you were done. You were buried. It didn't matter if you won 6 games at the end of the year, right? But now with the expanded playoffs, we're allowing that conversation to be had. And I think that's what's turning me into the favor of, hey, I like it, but what's the possibility of expansion? I'm not saying I'm in favor of expansion, but now we are having conversations that we used to not have.
Madcraft brings up a good point. He says there should not be more than 3 per conference. So Madcraft wants to put a hard cap on the number of teams that can be in a college football playoff from a given conference.
Okay.
Maybe that's viable. Maybe that's not. What if, for example, the SEC, and this is not a likely scenario, but what if the SEC had, well, I guess take that back. It is a likely scenario. What if they had 4 teams in the top 10? And you're talking about a 12-team playoff. And so you're saying, all right, we're going to put in a team that deserves to be in because they had a great season in their conference.
Yeah.
But is that really one of the best teams that could be in the 12-team playoff? Are we looking at total body of work? Are we looking at the last 3 weeks? Are we looking at the last 5 weeks of who's playing hot and who's not right now? I mean, I think the way they have built this thing structurally wise is maybe the smartest and fairest way that you can do it, in the sense that there is a clear and definable path. Here's how you get in.
That's right.
You go win your conference and you're in.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And then we get to add the subjectivity on top of that. I think they did a creative thing there. I don't like any kind of hard caps, but if we don't have something, then we're going to have to expand because other conferences will sue and say we need to be in this thing. So congratulations to South Carolina. What a instant classic football game we had. 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, 31 points scored between both teams in the fourth quarter. Lenore Sellers was absolutely fantastic. 353 yards, 5 touchdowns. Here's what the very last one sounded like. This was the Rocket Sanders 15-yard reception with 15 seconds to play to take the lead.
Big plays downfield. Got a small defender on him. Shovel pass Sanders. Rocket Sanders dances to the 5. And he punishes his way into the end zone. South Carolina back in front.
I mean, that was just a cannot be denied
It's great
game for
great,
South
man.
Carolina.
So I have 6 things, Diesel, that I was just absolutely thrilled with in terms of the game. I have a few things that I was absolutely impressed with. Wild Style, though, has been waiting. Let's go to Wild Style, who wants to chime in on the conversation. Wild Style, you're in Wire to Wire. What's up, man?
What's up, Phil?
Wow, what's up, man?
Oh, nothing but chillin'. I just doing about overreaction thing from past weekend. And I got 2 overreactions.
Okay.
Okay, the first one is I'm officially now announced live on Wild to Wire that y'all boy Wild Style is officially Gamecock.
Oh, you're announcing your fandom.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm announcing my fandom. I joined the Gamecock Nation. I went through the transport portal, the fan version of the transport portal. I had signed a lot of papers, and now I became official today.
Where'd you leave?
Where did I leave?
Yeah, what fan base did you leave?
Florida State.
That makes sense. That makes it. Now, Wild Style, I hope you know you can't go back, right? You cannot go back.
Yeah, I know I can't go back. I don't want to go back.
I don't. What if Florida State hired Deion Sanders? Would you try to go back?
Nope.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
We're going to hold you to that, Wild Style.
Thanks.
We're going to hold you to that.
Oh, yeah. And my second overreaction before I let y'all go, it's going to be the funny one, I think it is. The Mike Tyson fight.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, come on. I mean, Mike Tyson was moving around the ring like he had got gout in his foot.
Gout in his foot. He might have gout.
I thought he got CTE right in the middle of that fight, man. He came out firing like vintage Mike Tyson. We're going to talk about this later on in this hour, Wild Style. So we appreciate you bringing up the topic. We are going to get into it later on, but man, then he just went ice cold. He turned into Joe Biden in front of our eyes.
It was bad,
right? Okay.
I want to say this though, Diesel, about the game. I thought as much as grief as we give Dow Loggins, I thought when it was needed the most, Dow Loggins dialed up the best plays. Now, I watched the entire game. He saved his job. Maybe he did. During the course of the game, from like the second quarter to the end of the third, it was kind of vanilla. But that was the number one thing I wrote down on my cheat sheet. When they needed it the most, when they needed a play, Dow Loggins dialed up some freaking awesome plays on Saturday, and I have to eat a little crow. He was really good when they needed it most, Diesel.
You know, I saw something over the weekend that I didn't think I would ever see, and I appreciate JD Tolo, who was watching the stream. And by the way, jump on the stream on Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube. Somebody replied to him, and I can't read this Tolo's name on the air because it's got a bad word in it. Can't say it on the air.
Oh, man.
He tweeted, quote, "As much as I'd hate to see it happen, we need Clemson to win this." Man, we got Gamecock fans now pulling for Clemson to win to raise their strength of schedule possibility and keep the slimmest of slim hopes alive that they could get into the college football playoff conversation. They need chaos to happen ahead of them. I mean, they're at 19 right now. You're 7 spots out. It's not impossible. It is not impossible, but the chances are very, very slim. But, man, I never thought I'd see the day
that
a Gamecock fan was rooting for Clemson to win.
It was actually talked about at the tailgate I was at Saturday before the game. Carolina fans were talking about that very thing.
Wow.
Yeah, we need Clemson. I was like, where am I at right now? Diesel, I also I was impressed with the play calling at times. I also thought Missouri had the best offensive line South Carolina had seen all season.
They look great.
They
Missouri
pushed them around, man. They pushed South Carolina around, especially in the fourth quarter. Missouri's offensive line was really, really good. Beamer gave them a lot of credit. The crowd was awesome. It was a great scene. And how good is it when your quarterback, Diesel, throws 5 touchdowns to 5 different wide receivers? I mean, I'm telling you, they looked as good. You know what the biggest thing that I took away from Saturday night was? I walked out and talked to some fans at the tailgate that I was leaving, and on the way out, so many fans, Diesel said, with tears in their eyes, I'm not kidding. You don't know how many times we've walked out of Williams-Brice Stadium in a game like that, and we're on the wrong end of things. And this era of South Carolina football just feels different. It feels different. Mm-hmm. South Carolina put a game-winning drive together, went down the field, and won the game. And I'm telling you, man, I was very impressed.
This South Carolina program, you know, I made the analogy earlier that they are butterfly coming out of a cocoon. This South Carolina program might be Jim Carrey coming out of the rear end of that rhino in Ace Ventura When Nature Calls. You know, they're pushing and they're forcing their way out of there, man. It's really fascinating to watch. And, man, it's been so long since we've had quality football on 2 fronts in the state of South Carolina. You got to go back to the Spurrier era to see 2 teams vying for potential, you know, big-time postseason opportunities. And it is infectious, and I am so happy that we finally got. I'm happy for our Gamecock Tolos. And, you know, Cole, one big takeaway that I had out of that game was this is one of those things that I know this is a point Rob Brown likes to make very often, that you can't get a great sense for what happens in a game just by reading the stat sheet. If you go look at what Rocket Sanders' stats were on Saturday, they're not impressive. He didn't have those big breakout runs. He didn't have, you know, a huge run out of the backfield or a reception out of the backfield. But Rocket Sanders made such a gigantic impact on that game, even though he didn't get a ton of stats out of it. And that right there, Cole, you know, when you're not depending on one guy to go out there and get it done for you, when you can spread the ball around to so many different players and gash the other team, that's when you start getting into elite level football. And I said it before, I'll say it again. South Carolina is playing very good football right now, on the cusp of playing elite level football. If they could put it together for 4 quarters instead of 2 quarters here or 1 quarter there, man, this would be just an electric team to watch. And they already are.
All right, Dewey wants to chime in. I guess we have to go to our daily Dewey Diesel 844 fan phone, 844-326-3663. What's up, Dewey?
Yes, that was the first time I ever seen them put together a game-winning drive. But I didn't really get to see it because I trashed my TV after Missouri took the lead because I figured they'd be done lost. So I threw my TV out the window. And, Cole, you'll be eating crow again because I told you that Sanders was going to throw 5 touchdowns. And you said I was smoking crack.
Sanders didn't throw 5 touchdowns, Dewey.
Well, whatever his name is.
Gotcha, Dewey. I got you. Appreciate the phone
Thanks
call.
for the call, Dewey.
smoking crack and throwing TVs. God, it's getting rough around here, man. Throwing your TV out, Dewey. We'll get back into South Carolina Diesel at 4 o'clock. A ton to get to on South Carolina because it was just a great, great night. However, we do have to get into the other side of the conversation in the very next segment. Clemson, boy, was it close. I was in the press box watching the game, and there were, to say the least, there were a lot of South Carolina media very excited about how that game was heading, but Cade Klubnik put on his Superman cape and basically called game. We'll get into that next. When Clemson needed a Superman on Saturday, Cade Klubnik, he said, I'll do the honors. I'll take the responsibility, and I will go and win this touchdown or win this game. And we have what it sounded like.
He takes off, running up the middle, first down, inside the 35. He's going to go. Cade Klubnik, touchdown, Clemson, 50 yards.
Boy, was there a little concern. Boy, was there a little worry, Diesel. I mean, watching that game in the Gamecocks press box with other Gamecock press and Todd Ellis, and it was just like everybody was standing there praying Pitt would pull this thing off. What a game it was. Clemson, though, when it was all said and done, won by 4 points, 24-20 at the end of the season. When you do get a win, they don't ask you how. They don't ask you, how many points you won by. But there was a lot of concern throughout the course of that game. However, I do want to ask Clemson fans before we get into the conversation, a win's a win. We all know that. But how are you feeling on this Monday? Just how are you feeling, Clemson fans? Do you feel as if you're truly getting better since Louisville? Do you feel like this team's responding well? I know there were a lot of injuries on Saturday for the Tigers. Or do you feel like you're dodging bullets? 71307, start your text with the word fan. But Diesel, when they needed a Superman on Saturday, Cade Klubnik was that guy. He had a good game. Antonio Williams had a really good game, a great game, you could say. But to me, this is just me, it feels like Clemson dodged another bullet. Did they make the plays necessary to win the game? Yes. Klubnik, that run was amazing. How he got through those three defenders, I don't know. But as I said, a win's a win, and that's all that matters, right?
Do you remember when we were trying to break down what happened against Louisville? And Clemson had more yards, more first downs, more time of possession. They basically won every statistical category that you could win, except for the final scoreboard, the one that really matters. Well, it was the exact opposite in this game. Pitt had more yards. Pitt had more first downs. Pitt ran the ball better. They controlled the clock better than Clemson did.
They did.
And Clemson ended up winning the football game. I mean, look, not a lot of people are going to give Pitt any credit for being a good football team. They're just not. And we're guilty of doing that too. I remember us leading up to this game a couple of weeks ago saying, well, it's just Pitt, right? Like eventually this bubble's going to burst. They're just playing good football right now. And then they're going to fall apart down the stretch because it's Pitt. Right. Mm-hmm. And because we don't expect Pitt to be to really challenge for anything nationally. I mean, they're not even challenging for the conference anymore. Not after Clemson beat them. But they've never challenged for anything nationally. And so I think there's definitely some element of helmet scouting, not putting a whole lot of credit behind Pitt this year. It's always like that Purdue every couple of years. You don't really think Purdue has gotten any better, right? Just because they had one good season and then they fall off for 3 or 4, and then they have one good season and then they fall off for 3 or 4. Pitt's a good football team. I saw a team that was fighting like hell. I saw a quarterback that was accurate. I saw wide receivers that were breaking tackles and getting out into space. I mean, it was fascinating to see there. There didn't seem to be a whole lot of mid-yardage plays for the Pitt Panthers offense. It was either Clemson was blowing them up in the backfield or they were picking up 15, 20 yards and running deep for a score.
And look, it didn't help that Wade Woodaz was in street clothes before the game started, right? When that news came out, I was like, oh, boy. That's,
if only there was a way to build depth quickly.
That's right. There's not, though, according to Dabo, right? Cade was 27-41, Diesel, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns. He played well. The run for the touchdown was kind of the highlight of the season, maybe other than the Houdini play he had a couple of weeks ago. But Antonio Williams, man, 13 receptions, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. Maffa didn't have the best game, 17 carries for only 32 yards. But when your quarterback says, hey, I got this, 10 rushes, 72 yards, and a touchdown without Wade Woodaz, right? Sammy Brown leaves the game because of a targeting call. They were very thin on defense, especially at linebacker. Elijah Thurman also went down. He's a freshman offensive lineman they're counting on to be big. And look, despite all of that, Clemson won the game. I'll tell you my opinion, Diesel. If we were having this conversation and Clemson were a one-loss team, and it was still the Georgia loss, and that was the only loss this season, I believe we'd have the conversation and say, look, there were flaws, there were things that Clemson needs to clean up, yet what's most impressive is that when they needed to, they found the way to win. And good teams find a way to win. However, they don't have one loss. They have two losses. And the Louisville loss makes you contradict that thought process of, okay, does this team truly know how to win games, or are they dodging bullets? Because if they only had one loss, you and I could confidently sit here and say, yeah, they're good. They're okay. They're going to find a way to get through the playoffs and win a couple of games and maybe have a shot at the national championship. But they're not. They showed that they are very suspect against Pitt, against Virginia Tech, and they were really suspect against Louisville, and it cost them. They lost the game. My whole thing is, it's great they won the game. They found a way to win. But, boy, 2 weeks from now, you've got to figure out how to put 4 complete quarters of football on the field if you're going to beat a really good South Carolina team.
I'm looking at this, looking down the whole list of Clemson games this season, and we got 3 different teams this year for Clemson. You got the team that got absolutely waxed by Georgia, and then you got the team that waxed about 5 opponents in a row after that, and then you got the team that was apparently broken by Louisville. Because since then, Cole, I mean, look, nobody's going to sneeze at putting up 24 points against decent teams, and 24 points against Virginia Tech, not world beating, but not bad. 24 points against Pitt, not going to grab anybody's attention and say, oh yeah, see, that Louisville game was just a fluke. Clemson's back. Clemson's okay. See, Clemson's scoring 40 points on Pitt, and they're scoring 50 points on Virginia Tech. I don't know who this team is right now, but they're stuck in sort of a third gear, can't really get it up into fourth.
Well, what's interesting is they have shown signs this season that they have the potential to be the best team, right? You talk about being or showing 3 teams. I don't disagree with that. I don't push back, but what's so great, but also at the same time frustrating, like a double-edged sword, right? It's a double-edged sword because you have the potential to absolutely demolish opponents like you did for 5 or 6 straight weeks, Diesel. You and I saw it firsthand. But then the other side of that sword is you don't know when you're going to get that. You don't know if you're going to get that against a quality opponent. You can't – here's the problem. If you look at their schedule, you can't say they blew a team out and they blew a good team out. You can say they blew a team out, but you can't say they blew a good team out. Yeah. What good team did they blow out? What good team did they absolutely take it to? They haven't taken a good team behind the woodshed, Diesel, and that's my worries when you talk about what's to come 2 weeks from now. They've blown teams out, but they've done it against way lesser of opponents.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of that, you can say that South Carolina has blown a good team out. They blew Texas A&M out 44-20 a couple of weeks back. That was a blowout win. They blew out Vanderbilt. They were in a barn burning with Missouri that we had all written off, but hadn't really changed as a football team. They had gone through a couple of weeks and hard times at Missouri, but that's still a very good football team that Missouri put on the field. I mean, hell, Brady Cook did what he did with one arm tied.
And he didn't look bad. I said to several media members beside me, like, this guy was listed, Diesel, on Thursday as doubtful.
Yeah.
And he did look good. Here's some Peter Woods audio of not controlling your own destination if you're Clemson after the game. This is interesting.
All we gotta do is obviously we don't control our destiny. Everybody knows that. Everybody talks about that part, but all we gotta do is do the best that we can do and win these games. Whatever, win these games. And I'm saying the cards fall where they lay. But as long as we say we gave it our all, I ain't worried about nothing. So.
As long as we can say we gave it our all, I'm not worried about nothing. That concerns me. You're not controlling your own destiny.
Well, here's the problem for both Clemson and for South Carolina is that you've got SoCon teams on your schedule this week, and you don't have that opportunity to show it again against a quality opponent. I mean, let's pretend for a second that both of these games, even if we're not changing the opponents on the schedule, we're just reshuffling the schedule. If Clemson played Citadel in week 5 and South Carolina played Wofford in week number 5, and they're both playing Power 5 opponents just by virtue of a couple of teams ahead of them potentially going down. You have the opportunity then for both of those teams to climb that ladder just a little bit more, end up somewhere around 14 and 16, and then the winner of that game certainly has a big time win on their resume. Man, playing a SoCon team the week before your rivalry is not doing either of these teams any favors this year.
The Oculus says, recognizing that the offensive line and linebacker groups are racked with injuries, feel good that they pulled it out. That said, it's unlikely all of the injuries heal in the next 2 weeks. The staff has some work to do. Also, a texter says Pitt has lost 4 in a row, was playing with their backup quarterback, hardly inspiring. Hard to push back on that. Texter says, where do we start dropping flags when referees are watching the Jumbotron 3 minutes after the play is over? I saw flags. That's what I saw. There were some things Saturday that were odd. I didn't love the targeting call either.
We've seen a lot of coaches this year, more so than in years past. And the shocking thing is that all of these programs and conferences have rules and fines in place to prevent coaches from going after referees. Yet we're seeing more and more coaches being willing to toe the line of going after the referees.
Yeah.
Dabo Sweeney did it in his post-game press conference, talked about the flags that were like the review of a review. Josh Heupel did it in his post-game press conference.
He turned the mic around.
Yeah.
He said,
yeah, I mean, that was hilarious.
Oh, so good.
I wish the audio of the ringtone came through a little bit better, because it happened twice in his post-game press conference while he was already mad talking about the referees.
He was big mad.
God, I mean, why can we have not gotten that just a little bit clearer in that press conference? But man, you've got all these coaches going after refs, and I want to ask David Hood about that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
And qualify it in the sense we always talk about, why can't we put robo umps in baseball, just so that we know we're getting this one crucial element of the game right? Why can't we professionalize these referees? Like, what are we waiting for? What's the roadblock that's keeping us from doing something insanely obvious? And that's not going to fix every bad call just because they're professional and that's what they do for a living. NFL refs are professionals and they still miss calls too.
Still stink.
It is what it is. Or at least make every play reviewable. I mean, come on. Some of these coaches, I love what they're doing, calling these referees out, trying to force them to get better. Cole, when we come back, let's talk about the Tyson Paul fight. I mean, it was cheeks.
Can you use that word?
It was, yeah. Fight. The fight was cheeks, and I'm not even talking about Mike Tyson's big round buns. We'll talk about Tyson Paul next on the Fan Upstate. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Man, Friday night had me upset. It had me upset in a big way, Cole. What we saw Friday night.
Oh, hold on. Let me get the back out of Netflix. All right, we're good now.
It was an absolute travesty of boxing. And absolutely, if you
Diesel
were watching
just
on the
buffered live on air. He just buffered.
If you were watching on the stream, you got the show. If
Yeah,
not, you
you
might
got
not
it.
know what was happening. But man, how in the hell are heads not rolling up at Netflix HQ? You had your one shot. Eminem says it. You can't miss your chance to blow. And then they almost missed their chance by not paying the damn internet bill. I mean, Cole, I've got AT&T fiber running through my yard. I didn't want it because they had to dig up my yard to give it to me.
Yeah.
But now that I've got it, I'm like, damn, this is pretty good.
Still didn't work.
I got the fastest of the fast internet that you can get. And Netflix still gave me that little red circle constantly. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse through the undercard fights. What we saw leading up to this farce of a main event, Cole, was actually some really good boxing. Those two undercard fights were absolutely fantastic, except for Katie, and I'm blanking on her last name right now, the fighter who kept headbutting, doing her best impersonation of a ram. Just like I did check her for an iron plate in her forehead because she kept getting up close and then just like throwing that head into her. That was gross.
I saw 0 of the undercard fights. I tuned in when I get home from the Burns game at whatever it was, 12:30. And I think by the time mine started working, Diesel, I was like 2 minutes behind everybody else. Everybody else on social media already knew what happened.
Yeah.
Mine was working, but it was delayed. And it was absolute. I took 2 melatonin on Friday because when I get done with Burns, I'm all wound up and I usually can't go to sleep for like hours. So I got home, took 2 melatonin, and I was falling asleep during the fight, fighting to stay awake, and absolutely regret staying awake for that. It was a joke. It was an absolute joke. I don't understand what the point of it was. But you got your money. Everybody got what they were looking for.
I'm just glad that this was not the excuse for Netflix to raise their rates on us. And they keep raising their rates on us constantly.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. I don't even know what I pay now. What do we pay?
Probably, I don't pay for it.
Oh,
yeah, I leech off somebody. I leech off somebody because damn it, my bill used to be like $6 a month, and then it went up to like $15 a month.
Yeah,
and then they're trying to stick ads in while I'm still paying $15 a month. Hell no.
Stick what in? What'd you say they're sticking in?
Cole, I'm not gonna.
Hey, Texter
indulge
says,
in you.
Speaking of fight, what happened this morning on the Rob Brown show? Texter. Did you hear? Have you heard?
Heard what?
Are you really right now?
Heard
Texter asked, speaking of fight, what happened on the Rob Brown show? If you really don't know,
no,
there was a little bit of fight.
I don't get up early enough to listen to that show.
Well, I understand that, but there was a fight between the two hosts. I say it might be better than what you saw Friday night. Oh, it was good. It was juicy.
Can you and I? Obviously, we're live right now.
Yeah, I put the audio in your shared folder. I put it in your folder.
There?
Yeah, I put it there for you.
Okay,
I put it there.
Here's what we're gonna do, Texter, because I haven't heard this yet.
Yeah,
I haven't heard this yet. We're gonna grab that audio. We're gonna chop it up to get to the part that you guys are talking about, and we're gonna play it back in the next segment.
Oh, it's great.
And then, because I haven't heard this yet,
it was good. And
while we're in commercial break, we're usually doing a lot of other things.
That's right.
So we're gonna have to play it live on the air coming up at 4:00. So don't go anywhere because I'm gonna be hearing it with you for the very first time, and I'm excited to hear this audio.
It was a good little fight, and you didn't have to pay for it. It was free on the Honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, look, I thought going into this fight that this was gonna be a real fight. I genuinely did because Mike Tyson looked damn terrifying and ferocious in his lead up to that. And look, I know that you can make anything look like anything with proper editing, right? You can take a 15-second clip where Mike Tyson looks like a competent, scary fighter, which he did for like the first 15 seconds of that first round.
Yeah.
And then you can cut out all the other stuff where he looked like, and I promise you, I'm not trying to make this political in any way, shape, or form. He looked like Joe Biden has looked over the last 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Where he has that confused, shell-shocked, where am I look. And look, I mean, Mike Tyson has been getting – people are saying, oh, it's because he got hit for the first time. Are you telling me that you honestly believe that a fighter is getting ready and getting in shape for a fight and doesn't get punched once in the build-up to a fight? You people are crazy.
Well, I'll tell you this, man.
You people are crazy if you think Jake Paul is punching hard enough with those balloons on his hands to knock Mike Tyson silly in the middle of a fight.
When the buffering finally quit, Diesel, I was really impressed for the first, like you said, 45 seconds.
It looks scary.
It was
like
man,
Tyson.
We've got something going. He lost his legs. Yeah. He had no counter. And I'm not a boxing guy. I don't claim to be. But he did not look like a boxer. He completely lost his legs 45 seconds.
He looked the way I look after about 15 beers. And I'm just standing around like can't defend myself.
Yeah.
Don't know where I am. Forgot how to walk. All I'm thinking about right now is stay upright.
I'll tell you what, it was more sad for me. Like I was the more
Why is
rounds,
it sad? It wasn't real.
Well, it wasn't.
You're wasn't
right.
real.
We were told it was real. We were told it's this fight. We were told, oh, he's going to be okay. You know, he's back. And he's going to give Jake Paul a fight. But as the rounds went on, you're watching this old man just kind of mope around, and you're just hoping for God's sake that he doesn't fall out dead.
I tweeted jokingly in the middle of the fight, I think we just watched Mike Tyson get CTE.
Yeah.
Because his entire body language and demeanor and everything changed in the middle of the fight. And it's because Jake Paul trolled all of us. He trolled all of us. He wanted you to believe that Mike Tyson was ferocious, and then once he got into the ring, he turned into a big old wuss. He wanted you to believe that there was a chance that Mike Tyson might actually still have a shred of that, and then Mike Tyson just turns out to not be a very good actor.
We got God. That's all we can say.
So we're going to play that audio coming up in the next segment again, because you guys, a couple of you have texted in now about some sort of dust up that happened this morning.
The fight that was better than Tyson Paul was Brown Ritzel. Is that how you say his name, right? I think so. Lonzo's last name? Reitzel. Brown Reitzel was better than Paul Tyson. We'll get into that next. Also, South Carolina Diesel, why they should be in the college football playoff. Why they should be. That's next.
timeouts. Blitz by Missouri. Shuffle pass inside. Sanders inside the 10. 5. Rocket going for it. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, Rocket Sanders. From 15 yards out. The Gamecocks. Wow. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, hell no, we just scored.
Oh, my gosh. Shuffle pass. Woo. Listen to this crowd.
Maybe one of the best Todd Ellis, Tommy Suggs call I can remember, Diesel. Are you kidding me? No, no, I don't know what I'm saying. It was a great call, a great night for the Gamecocks. I do believe South Carolina is a playoff team. Am I saying that they're going to be in the playoffs? Absolutely not. But I want to get into that conversation.
That's why I don't like the 12 best teams conversation necessarily, because you could say right now, and I said it to start the show, that South Carolina right now is playing CFP caliber football. But I don't think that's enough to be playing CFP caliber football right now.
No, I'm with you.
And because we don't know what the time frame is. Could you play a great game once and say this team's playing CFP caliber ball? No. South Carolina's played, 3 really good games in a row. They played 3 really good games in a row.
Yeah, they've won 4 in a row now total.
Excuse me, 4 in a row.
That's
if you count the Oklahoma game, but then I would say it's more like 3.5 because the defense played fantastic against Oklahoma. The offense wasn't there.
No, it's fascinating. I want to get into that. Why South Carolina should be, what argument could we make right now for them to get in somehow, some way? I don't think they will. I'm sure Diesel has the same, can echo that as well. It's a tough road. Absolute chaos would have to happen, but I think they are a playoff team. Want to get into that. Also, during the break, we feverishly got the audio from the fight this morning. So the question is, Diesel, which was better, Paul Tyson on Friday or Brown Reitzel this morning on the Rob Brown Show?
I hope, and I am starting with this.
And I've never heard this audio.
I hope every one of you marks that stayed up Friday to watch exactly what I told you was going to happen. I hope every one of you woke up Saturday morning tired as hell and couldn't recover. I hope every one of you jabronis
you can't talk about
that wasted your time.
You have a rule that you won't talk about something you didn't watch. You didn't watch it.
Didn't you to? No, it was going to happen.
He does have that
but
rule.
You're breaking your own rule.
No.
I can't sit and let you. So you're going to talk about something you didn't watch. So next time you say, like other people, I watch something when I talk about it. You can't do that now. So you're going against a creed of the show where you said you will not talk about something if you didn't watch it.
You are going to
God,
get
Lonzo
around today that you have never gotten out of me.
Can you stop it real quick?
Yeah.
As of right now in the fight, Lonzo's got him.
Body blows.
He's got him, right?
He's throwing body blows now. He didn't even need jabs.
No. I wouldn't say full knockout, but he's got him.
What do you think happened to Lonzo over the weekend for him to come in at 6 a.m. on a Monday morning ready to start throwing elbows?
Not gonna talk about that. So for those that just tuned in, basically Rob has a theory on the show that if he doesn't watch it, he's not going to talk about it, right? Which I like. Hey, if you don't watch it, you didn't really know what happened, you're not going to talk about it. So he's talking about the fight that he didn't watch, and Lonzo has basically called him out.
Yeah, but Rob also has no life. Rob somehow finds a way to watch literally everything. And he has, and I love Rob to death.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with Rob for close to 1.5 years, 2 years. I love Rob to death.
I do too.
There is an air of superiority in Rob Brown that says, "Oh, I watch everything. I'm a better sports fan than you are because I watch everything." I'd say less rounded individual because all you do is sit and watch sports. And you got to be more than that to be a functioning human being.
So as of right now, Lonzo's got him. What happened after that, though?
Never.
It's one that's going back on his word.
No.
Right.
You are going to get today the Rob Brown that says, and I understand that I risk an emotional wall going up between us. And I don't want that. Lonzo, I love you like a brother. I don't want to place any obstacles betwixt our incredible relationship that has generated not one, not two, but three South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year Crystal Trophies. I don't want to do that, but I'm going to.
I don't believe any.
Build the wall.
Okay.
Build the wall.
Believe what you want to believe.
I don't believe you care.
So I do care.
Yeah, okay.
I do care.
Right.
Lonzo hits him with, I don't believe you care.
Some sort of emotion out of me that
I do.
Going to.
I do.
Because I was a mark this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know.
But not for what you're saying.
Okay.
I was a mark for Saturday night.
Fine.
For paying money
don't worry about
to
that.
watch Stipe Miocic go in there and just stand there and throw less punches than Mike Tyson did. I'd wasted money on that, which I will never spend on UFC again. I didn't spend any money Friday night.
Stop.
Saturday night.
Stop. We're gonna come to that. This is the Rob Brown you're gonna get.
Wait. So Rob is like, if I'm understanding him correctly, Rob is saying, I knew all along that this whole thing was going to be fake, so I didn't bother watching.
That's right.
The dude that loves wrestling, where everything is fake, watches it every single time it's on TV. So boom, Rob, we got you twice, brother. You're sitting here saying you're not watching Paul Tyson because it's fake, yet you love wrestling. When it's a bunch of oiled up, sweaty dudes in underwear throwing each other around the ring to a predetermined script of what's going to happen in this fight.
Yeah.
So now, Rob, you're a hypocrite twice. You're a hypocrite twice.
This is so great.
Oh, and he loves nerdy things like Marvel movies, which I don't know if you know this, Cole.
Don't say fake.
They're fake.
No, don't say fake.
They're fake. You can't just put on a red and gold metal suit and fly. That's not real. So what you're telling me is if you know something's not real, you're not going to watch it. So boom,
you got him. Now you and Lonzo both have
There
him.
goes all your MCU movies. You can't watch Batman. Well, you can watch Batman because Batman is theoretically possible.
Yeah.
You just got to be rich.
Hadn't
and
happened
nuts.
yet, but it could.
But you can't watch Superman. You can't watch porn because none of that's real either, Rob. I mean, come on, dude. Sometimes people just want to be entertained.
He was both of them were fired up. Texter says Lonzo was upset because the Chiefs lost. And it could have been. That's a good point.
That makes sense.
First loss of the season.
That makes sense. He's taking it out on Rob.
Any more? Is that it?
Yeah, there's more.
Oh,
there's almost
right.
there's like a minute.
Let's go.
A half.
Let's
left.
do it.
We're not distracting ourselves. We're not derailing ourselves. We're not going to segue off to something else. It is the first time in the almost 5 years I've been here that I am going to say we are staying on topic. It is what I want to talk about. And it is this show. I'm going to say words I've never said before. It's my show. This is what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So you bunch.
I will sit
real quick. Pause it real quick. That at that point, for those that don't know Lonzo, when he said that, bam, the wall was built. Like right here, Diesel. Wall, bricks, wall, Trump wall, you name it, wall, all the way to the top. There was that was it. When he said, this is my show, bam, it's over. And Lonzo was checked out. He was checked out. He said, no more.
I didn't think Rob had this in him. This is.
I mean, he went like straight to the gut right there, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you know this, Cole. There's a work order. It's actually posted on the outside of the door. They're going to come in and widen this door here so that Rob can fit his head through it.
Was that what that piece of paper was
That's
for?
what that means. You're supposed to read it, man. It's in big, bold letters.
All right. I'm sorry.
Let's finish up the last minute or so.
We got to move on.
It is what I want to talk about. And it is this show. I'm going to say words I've never said before. It's my show. This is what we're doing. Okay.
All right.
So you bunch.
I will sit back and allow you to go against your word. What you said for how many years you've been on the air that you would not talk about something that you didn't watch while you talk about something that you didn't watch.
Again.
And you make yourself look bad. You make the show look bad.
Fine. I don't give
I'm be over here.
A rat's backside about anybody who says
Integrity?
Rob Brown's going to get. You know what? No.
See now, you heard the moment. You heard the moment that Lonzo got mad.
Integrity.
This is the moment that Rob got mad.
No. Backside. about anybody who says
Integrity?
Rob Brown's going to go. You know what? I don't. No. See, here is the mentality I've taken for years. The mentality I've taken for years is, if you don't watch a thing, if you don't actually go eyeballs on the thing, you can't get the context and the nuance about the game that happened. This is a fight I used to have with our former colleague Mark Ryan all the time, who would very regularly say, yeah, I checked in on the highlights. I read the box score. I didn't have to watch every second of the game. Now you do. Because you might look and see the running back has only 27 yards in a game and go, oh, they couldn't run the ball. That's great. Why not? Was it a bad offensive line? Was the defensive line owning the point of attack? Were the linebackers sniffing out plays before they started? Was the running back maybe a little gimpy? There's 100 reasons why there was only 26 yards. And if you didn't watch the game, you can't tell me. Here's the thing. I don't need to have watched that fight to know exactly what happened.
And
was that
insane.
It? Is that it? Oh,
insane.
Please no. Please let more.
Because Lonzo didn't speak for the rest of the segment.
Yeah. No. Show.
Wow.
Yeah. Not segment. Show.
Wow.
So what's the over-under on how many more words he'll say the rest of the week? 75 words over-under.
Under.
It was great, man. You know what? That's
because
great
Lonzo
radio,
will stay
though.
silent to prove a point.
Yes. It was great radio. It was so good. But it happened, at 6 o'clock this morning? So everybody probably tuned in thinking, man, Lonzo's quiet today.
Yeah.
What's wrong? Maybe he just doesn't feel well.
I mean, I'll give Rob credit. He's got a point. You got to watch the game to get the context, you know? But look, we're all humans. We can't watch everything. And you watch sports on the floor, 4 split screens on YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pay 100% attention to each game. You can kind of be aware of what's going on, and then you got to do the best you can with what you got. You can't sit and watch every single one.
I believe, just my opinion, Lonzo called Rob out. Rob didn't like it.
Ooh.
Both built barriers. It became kind of, I guess, personal, right? A little bit. Not personal like taking shots.
I mean.
But it was personal. It was great.
So Rob essentially called Lonzo a mark. And all of us.
Yes.
All of us
included.
who watched it a mark, because I watched it. And then Lonzo called Rob a hypocrite. Woo!
That's great. Great freaking radio. We just spent 15 minutes on that. I mean, that is incredible. And if you know what, they should have waited. They should have planned better and did it at like 8:30. During people are going back, back to home, back to work rather. Oh boy, that was good.
Tune into the Rob Brown show tomorrow at 6 a.m. to see what happens next.
It won't be much. It won't be much talking. I can tell you. You and I both know Lonzo. And
either that, or it'll make for better radio because they're going to be at each other's throats all week.
I'm not reading that top text. You can have at it.
Texter,
I'm not reading at it. I'm not doing
that's
it.
Wrong.
It's funny, but I'm not reading it.
Oh, okay, I'll read it.
Oh, you're going to read it. Here we go. Here we go.
All right. It's only because we read all the text messages that come in. We sometimes have to edit it for language.
Are you really going to read it?
Yeah, we don't edit for content. We only edit for language because you know what? Great content is great content, but bad words get us thrown off the air. Texter says, and it's funny how Texter didn't put his name on his text.
Yeah.
Shocking, right?
Yeah.
Texter says, there are 2 shows that air on this station that I absolutely refuse to listen to. Jim Rome and Rob Brown and Lonzo. Both shows suck. That's not true, Texter.
Not true.
That's not true.
Jim Rome may, but
Jim Rome does a great show. I'm kidding.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. I love Rob Brown and I love Lonzo. They do a great job together. They really, really do. You got to have somebody who's that high energy sports guy who freaking cares about everything.
Yes. I'll tell you what's funny about it. It made for great radio. What's not funny is I know feelings were actually hurt, and I'm not laughing at that, but it did make for freaking fantastic radio.
Our job, Cole, and this is where Rob is wrong here. Our job is to be aware of what our listeners care about. I could sit and watch FCS football and get up here and sit here and talk about FCS football, talk about Tarleton State, versus, Oklahoma Central College.
Yep.
But y'all don't care. You care about South Carolina and Clemson and Georgia and the Panthers and things like that. So it's our jobs to gauge what it is you, the audience, care about and are talking about. And then we need to talk about that on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay. It's our job to care about what you care about. Otherwise, these shows would devolve into WNBA talk or, who's got the best, who's got the best anime collection, and nobody on this station cares about that. All right. There are people who care about that, but just not here because you were here to talk about sports content.
It was good. It was good radio. They'll be okay. They're good. They hugged it out. Everything's fine, but it was great.
Did they really hug? Did you see it?
No, I don't know if they hug. I kind of made that up. All right, we are going to get into South Carolina for like a minute.
You might be able to get a fist bump out of him.
That's true.
Most.
That's true. Or a air fist bump.
Exactly.
Rick wants to chime in, 844-FAN phone. Rick, do you want to talk about the Gamecocks or the fight that we were just discussing? What's up, Rick?
Okay, I want to talk about the fight. I promoted a fight this past weekend, an 80-year-old woman against a kangaroo. I could put a fight together for Rob and Alonzo if they want to. I'll promote it. I'll bring the hot dogs. I mean, we can do it.
What's the undercard for this fight? Cockroach racing or male stripping?
No, I've got another fight. A 12-year-old against a 10. No, I wouldn't do that.
Rick,
okay,
I made the mistake.
Lord.
Party foul, FCC. I made the mistake of taking a sip of water as you were talking, and the 80-year-old versus kangaroo almost put water all over our equipment here in the studio, and you'd have been responsible for it. Just FYI.
Have you been back to Walmart?
I was in Walmart last week, I believe, one time.
Okay. Did you look around?
I did. Oh God, you missed that.
What did I miss?
Oh God, last week Diesel wasn't here. So Rick,
Lord.
Diesel wasn't here. I'm going to re-ask the question. I think it was the Tolo takeover. We have gotten off on a tangent, but it's okay. This is great. I believe it was the Tolo takeover, Rick. Is that right?
It was.
Okay,
and
so
you asked, what'd you ask?
I asked Rick. We were talking about Walmart, and he was upset because Walmart was closing. People were being mean to him and telling him to leave, like 30 minutes to go. All right. He was upset about it. He called, sounded off about it on Tolo Takeover.
As is his right.
That's right. I asked the question, Rick, why doesn't Walmart stay open 24 hours like they used to? And Rick's response was,
there's not enough ugly people in the world to keep that place open.
Is that not great? Is that not great? Woo! Not enough ugly people. Rick, we love you. We appreciate you. I was solo last week. I about lost it when he said that.
I think at 11:58 they put a quota of how many people in Crocs can be in a store in a given time, and once you hit that limit, they got to shut the store.
There's
store
not
down.
Enough ugly people in the world. Is what he said. So
we got to go because we got David Hood of TigerNet coming up next.
We'll get back to
cut this
Gamecocks.
insanity off now. Get back to it later. David Hood coming up next. Clemson gets the big road win at Pitt, 24-20 off the back of a big-time touchdown run late by Cade Klubnik to ice the game away. To talk about it, to break it down, and everything in between, we bring on David Hood of TigerNet. David, I'm going to go a little rogue and off-road and throw you a tough one to start here, okay? Dabo got chippy with refs in the post-game press conference about the hands to the face call. Josh Heupel at Tennessee openly called out refs' poor performances this year. A lot of other coaches have done the same thing. Why can we not professionalize referees? Why are we continuing with this charade of not pretending like a tremendous amount of money is involved here and that we can't afford professionalized referees? To me, it's kind of like not doing robo-umps in baseball. We have the technology to get it right. We have a next step to make things better, but we've refused to do it. What are the possible reasons why the NCAA won't professionalize the refs at this point?
Yeah, I think it's just because they're cheap, man. It's just befuddling to me to see, an official. And look, the right call was made, the one that Dabo was talking about, the blow to the head. That is the right call, but it wasn't made on the field. And the officials are sitting there huddling up during the timeout, and Narduzzi comes out and points at the video board, and they watch the video board, and then they throw the flag. You can't do that. And that's, some of the frustration that Dabo had. The targeting call on Sammy Brown, 100% a targeting call. That is truly the definition of targeting, leading with the helmet on that. So, but yeah, these conferences, it would take a big investment, because instead of paying these guys, $1,000 a game or whatever, all of a sudden you're going to have to pay them to step out of the careers that they have. And a lot of these guys are really successful people. I mean, they're insurance brokers and financial guys, not a lot of guys working for $8 an hour that are officiating, and they'd have to pay them a whole lot of money, and they're just not going to do it.
David, obviously Clemson got the win. We talked about earlier in the show the run by Cade, but when you look at Saturday's performance by Pitt, do you feel like they went into that game with the idea of making Cade beat them, because they did a pretty good job of keeping Phil Maffa down on Saturday?
Well, that's just what Pitt does. Pitt's going to stop the run and, kind of make you make plays. They were in a 9-man box a lot of the time. And, sitting there watching that game, and I'm like, okay, so I understand that you've got offensive line issues, but, roll your quarterback out a little bit, run a draw play, run a slip screen, just something to try and slow down that rush. But no, nothing surprises you with what Pitt did. That's exactly what they do. They want to completely blunt the running game, and then, every once in a while it's going to work where you get all of the interceptions like they did against Syracuse that day. And, they had 3 pick sixes, and, when it works like that, it's great. But they also had some issues with their offensive line, and I thought they put together a pretty good game plan.
David Hood of TigerNet.com joining us here on the Fan Upstate, Wire to Wire, with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Is Clemson's best football this season ahead of them or behind them?
Depends on who gets healthy and when. It's pretty obvious right now, and this goes back to the head-scratching, befuddling, I don't understand what's going on deal. Phil Maffa is not healthy, obviously. He is carrying around that shoulder like he's trying to carry around a piano, running out of bounds, avoiding contact, not at full speed. You can tell it when he runs. And yet they keep going back to him, and that's why this week, it's senior day, and maybe I would suit the kid up and get him a great carry for the Citadel and then wave him off the field and see if you can get him healthy, because that rivalry game takes on something else. I don't know that we're going to see left tackle Tristan Lee this week or left tackle Marcus Tate this week. I think those guys, might also be better suited for waiting a little bit. And, then they got to get Wade Woodaz back. And I'm hearing Mickens is okay, the safety. But this team is talented, and they can play well. They just got to get people healthy. That's just kind of it right now.
You mentioned Wade Woodaz. You tweeted out a photo, David, before the game of him in street clothes. What was the update you got before the game on why he didn't play, and also after on what it takes to get him back?
The only thing that I got before the game was somebody who kind of winked at me as they walked by and said, "Hey, things happen in practice." And that was really, the only update that I've gotten. And, I think that, he's probably another situation just kind of based off what I've heard that, probably now you're not going to see him this week. And, maybe for South Carolina, just still don't know.
Talking to David Hood of TigerNet.com. David, statistically speaking, and just flow with the game wise, Saturday versus Pitt felt like the inverse of the Louisville game. Pitt had more yards, more first downs, more time of possession, yet the Tigers get the win. Was there any point before the clock hit all zeros when you felt like that win was safe, or were you waiting for the other shoe to drop at some point?
I felt like they were in great shape there at halftime, and then kind of even coming out of half. Then you start to get into that fourth quarter, and the offense. Somebody said, you can tell Dabo's doing the play calling, and the offense has just gone into the shell. They're protecting the lead. I didn't think that at all. I thought they were just bad. I thought some of the play calls were still kind of aggressive but bad. There was a throw that Cade missed wide open down the middle of the field that would have been a touchdown. There was another one that was dropped that I thought would have gone a long way. It was just bad. It just was bad execution. And, then all of a sudden you see it start to snowball a little bit. And Yarnell, the Pitt quarterback, he started to get some confidence, and they got to rolling. And then they also were smart. They took their tight end, and they were picking on Clemson's third-string linebacker. I thought D. Creighton did a fairly good job. I really do. But, the kid's not played a whole lot of snaps in his career, and all of a sudden you're out there in a, tough kind of environment going up against a guy that's a pretty good tight end.
David, what was your instant reaction when you heard the news that Clemson, South Carolina was going to be a noon kick?
Been hearing that for a while now, so it was just kind of like, well, that's what we've expected. Mm-hmm. It just seems like I've heard that game day is in play for this game, and people say, well, now the noon kick. Not so. Well, they've had noon kicks, and I just kind of felt like that's the way that this one was going to go. Not great for recruiting, not great for atmosphere. So everybody's got to kind of grab a biscuit and go.
Yeah.
David, now that Clemson's ACC slate is over, and we know that the Dabo has always been, very strong and very big on compartmentalizing conference play. That is the most important thing. Well, now you got 2 more games to go, and I get that one of them is against an inferior opponent. Then you got the in-state rivalry game. Do you agree with that strategy of compartmentalizing your goals throughout the season? Or do you personally wish Dabo would have a bigger picture mentality?
No, I think that those goals kind of actually work with younger people. I do. It just kind of, you don't want them thinking too far ahead or about other things other than kind of the game in front of you. And I saw it with him. This kind of changed really for him maybe back in 2013 during the South Carolina 5-game streak, and it was, let's worry about winning the ACC first, and then we'll worry about the games. If we win the ACC, the rest of it will take care of itself.
Hey, David, let's say, obviously we know what could happen to get Clemson in the ACC title game, which could get them in the playoff. But let's say things don't go the way of the Tigers when it comes to Miami and SMU down the stretch, and the season ends without an ACC championship appearance, without a playoff appearance. Do you think how Clemson fans view the success of the season at that point would solely come down to what they did against South Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a win over South Carolina helps, soothe some of the wounds. But, for a team to lose one conference game and one other to a top 5 team that feel like, was in the playoff conversation for a while there. And, hey, maybe a win over South Carolina puts you in the top, 13 or 14, and you're so close. I think that, a lot of the fans would say, hey, a trip to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I think I have this right. I think the Pop-Tarts Bowl has the first pick of an ACC team that doesn't make the college football playoff. So let's just say that SMU loses to Miami or Miami loses to SMU, and one of those teams doesn't make the playoff. The Pop-Tarts can pick those teams. and then Clemson would slide down maybe to a Holiday Bowl. Or maybe the playoff says, hey, we've got to pick and we don't want SMU. We want Clemson to come back and be Pop-Tarts Bowl. If you're a Clemson fan, at the beginning of the season, would you have said that the Pop-Tarts Bowl or the Holiday Bowl would be a success?
That's a great answer.
Yeah, David, how do you think fans will react to that? I mean, Clemson has always traveled exceptionally well for playoff appearances, and I know it's been there was a common joke of maxing out. You're getting more credit cards just so you can go and see all of these road games because Clemson was on the road for weeks at a time in the playoff scenario. Do you believe that Clemson fans will be satisfied enough to fill up a Pop-Tarts Bowl or a toilet bowl? Where's their mentality at, and how is it changing after multiple years of not making the playoff?
Well, it's funny. I think Clemson fans spent a whole lot of money during that run, and then we've kind of seen that fans just, with the economy and kind of since COVID, haven't traveled. And, I don't know how many fans would travel during Christmas, like the Holiday Bowl, I think is 2 days after Christmas. How many fans are going to go, you know what, I want to fly or drive all the way to San Diego 2 days after Christmas to watch them, play Oregon State or whoever. I think attendance would be affected. And, it might be just as simple as, hey, would Clemson accept, dropping down, another spot or kind of going across and maybe going to a Gator Bowl. I don't know. I don't know what would drive attendance, but I just know with the college football playoff this year starting December the 20th. Yeah, you heard that right. December 20th. A lot of people are going to be kind of focused on all of that and maybe not so interested in other bowl games.
So with all that being said, David, where does that leave things? Where does that leave the standard that Dabo set?
Yeah, I think that leaves a whole lot of questions in the off season, and I think regardless of what happens, regardless if Clemson makes the college football playoff and loses, wins an ACC championship, makes the playoff, makes it to a Holiday Bowl, I think that there's still questions kind of, with the program, with the coaching staff. Is that House resolution, which should pass in April, is that going to help? What changes would he make? How are they going to attack the portal? I don't think any of that really changes.
David, what pieces and players do you, and I don't want to make this sound like we're pretending like the season is over, but I do like looking ahead here. What pieces and players do you believe are right where Clemson and Dabo wants them to be able to see an upward trajectory into next season? And do you see any position groups that may kind of be falling behind going into next year?
No, you know what? I think that they're fairly happy with everybody. I do wonder about the running backs because you are seeing nothing but Phil Maffa. And Dabo said, "Mo Maffa, Mo better." I don't know about that. I don't know if they feel like they don't trust those guys. They miss if it's just terrible coaching. But that would be the one group that I would go, okay, what is going on there? Because you're losing Phil Maffa. You're going to lose Jake Brenning. So, man, everybody on that offense is coming back. You're going to lose Barrett Carter and R.J. Mickens. Because in that defense, a lot of those guys are all coming back. And you're adding some good pieces that have redshirted. I know they're high about getting Dietrich Pennington back, Elijah Thurman on the offensive line. Mason Wade is a guy that I kind of feel like maybe they shouldn't have redshirted. Maybe they should have got him out on the field some more. I think they feel good about everything. To me, the big question is running back.
You think they should have got Jarvis Green, Dutch Fork guy out of Irmo, on the field more?
I mean, him or Jay Haynes or David Eziamume, who I know they wanted to redshirt. Just somebody. I go back to that fourth down play against Pitt, and it's just obvious that Maffa's not 100%. And, they bring three tight ends to the strong side of the field and then run Maffa to the short side of the field, and he's slow right now. And you let a defensive end just kind of swallow him up, and you go, what is that? And do you not trust those guys? That's just the question. And, of course, you ask Dabo. We can't ask the running backs coach. Never talk to him. Can't ask the offensive coordinator. Really can't talk to him. But Dabo, do you like to go? We love our guy. Man, we love him. And that's the answer that you get. And I don't know. Maybe your eyes tell you more than what coaches say.
David, great stuff as always, man. Really appreciate you taking time. Hope you had a fantastic trip to Pitt, and we will talk to you next week as we always do on Mondays.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. David Hood, he's the best. Always willing to tell us. And look, I go on a lot of rants about Clemson media. And in those rants, just like I did on Friday, I always say, not talking about David Hood. David Hood does not sugarcoat it. He tells you how he feels. And I think he's right, Diesel. If this is what the season's come to, a freaking Pop-Tart Bowl. Congratulations, Clemson. Doesn't matter what happens against South Carolina in 2 weeks. Get your freaking Pop-Tarts, brown sugar and cinnamon, whatever it is. This is the standard you've set. This is the new Clemson standard. Strawberry, you like the blueberry better? I'm a brown
I like the
sugar.
chocolate one's better.
Chocolate, okay,
Yeah.
That's fine too. Well, guess what? You can have all you want if you're a Clemson fan. All right, Daily Wire's top headlines in sports. That's next. Whoa. Who's playing that music? Cut that music. Cut it off. It's Daily Wires. Come on, get it right.
Wow.
Who's running this thing back here? What are we doing? That guy needs to get fired. Playing some hip-hop music.
Where's Dewey when we need him? You guys need to get fired.
Hold on. I've got that. I'll have to get back. Oh, man, where's Dewey? Where's Dewey's fire? I have it somewhere.
I'll do the impression again.
I got it.
Y'all need to be fired.
Pretty good, right? That's pretty good Diesel impression. Oh, no, that was the real thing. All right.
Y'all need to get fired.
It's the Daily Buzz. Buzz. What's happening in the sports world? We can't fit everything into segments of their own, so we do what's happening. It's the Daily Wires locally over the weekend in college football. Wofford lost to the Citadel 30-17. Furman defeated ETSU 24-21. How about Furman, Diesel? Getting a win. Much needed a win. Their third of the season. Limestone defeated Mars Hill 31-26. North Greenville defeated Chowan 31-27. And the Anderson Trojans dropped their fifth straight game to Lenore Ryan 27-24.
Lenore Ryan.
I'm
Thank you
sorry.
much. That's my hometown team.
I know I said Ryan.
My hometown
I've got a
squad.
bad habit of doing that. I've been up there and called a game there one time, and I have a bad habit of saying Ryan.
Put them in the Southern Conference.
Yesterday, Boise State defeated Clemson in men's basketball. Diesel 81-74, a tough loss for Brad Brownell's squad. On Saturday, South Carolina men's basketball was defeated by Indiana 87-71. And yesterday, Dawn Staley and the Lady Gamecocks defeated East Carolina 95-44.
Couldn't blow them out by any more than that.
I mean, yeah, really. Why didn't you hit 100, Dawn?
51-point win. Is that all you got?
Only 95 points. Why not score 5 more? Get the triple digits. And men's hoops locally over the weekend, Wofford lost to Duke 86-35. Speaking of blowouts, USC Upstate lost to UNC Wilmington 89-85. And Furman, how about Furman winning on the field and the court Friday, defeating Tulane 75-67? What's
Dan Scott had a good weekend.
He did.
Man. He's calling Furman Tulane. He's calling Furman ETSU.
Real quick, mascot.
Assuming he
man.
was at both.
Tulane's mascot?
Green Wave.
I know it was the wave. I just couldn't think it was green or what color it was. I had issue with the color. As you heard Friday on our sister station on 98.9 WORD, the Burns Rebels won their first playoff game, which means they'll play again Friday at Spartanburg. This game will be back on our station, the Fan Upstate. You can hear that Friday, 97.1 Spartanburg and 97.7 Greenville.
Do you believe Burns is getting hot at the right time and can make a deep run in the playoffs, or do you think this is kind of the ceiling for this team?
Spartanburg's very good. I say, to answer your question, Diesel,
I know you don't like picking Burns games.
No, I'm with you. No, it's okay. I think I have to say ceiling if I'm truly answering, because Spartanburg's just legit, man.
Yeah.
They're so good. I've already seen them once. The Spartanburg Burns game this year wasn't close, and I know Trey Segura's back. Hopefully that makes a big difference. We'll see, though.
And, hey, to get into the playoffs and win a game,
that's right.
That's good for a down year.
East Rutherford, New Jersey, the New York Giants, Diesel, have benched Daniel Jones, one of the richest quarterbacks in the NFL. Not any good. Send him to the bench, where he should have been all along. They're expected to name who? Tommy DeVito as their starting quarterback. Everyone's favorite quarterback, sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter.
Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
I love that guy. I love him.
Yes.
I love
Do you
Tommy.
think his agent is still his agent?
He better be. He better be. Tommy DeVito is good for the NFL. He really is. In Cleveland, Darius Garland scored 25 points, and the Cleveland Cavaliers stayed unbeaten with a 128-114 win over the Charlotte Hornets on Sunday night. The Cavs are the fourth team to start 15-0 and are tied for the second best start to an NBA season, trailing only the 15-16 Golden State Warriors, who started 24-0. Cleveland's hot right now. What a start for them. Friday night's fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, Diesel, fell short of expectations in the ring, but exceeded Netflix hopes, obviously, by drawing 60 million households. The company announced Saturday, Netflix called it record-breaking night and said that they peaked about 65 million concurrent streams.
Did they ever think about taking the cartridge out and blowing in it before putting it back in?
Or just Unplugging it and plugging it back
in. Yeah, I mean, that could have been disastrous if they had that buffering issue during the main event.
Yeah.
I mean, what's sad for boxing is that the actual good boxing was wiped out by all this crappy buffering.
That's true.
And then the crappy fight was on full display.
That's true. You're right. Wisconsin.
At least we got a brand new meme that's going to live forever. Mike Tyson's butt cheeks.
God.
Those are going to live forever.
What in the world are we doing here? Wisconsin has fired offensive coordinator Phil Longo on Sunday, a day after the Badgers' 16-13 home loss to number 1 Oregon. I mean, what you want them to do is Oregon. Julian Lewis, the number 2 player and quarterback in the 2025 class, decommitted from Southern Cal on Sunday. Sources told ESPN. Also, in the college football world, 4-star quarterback Trammell Jones Jr. has committed to the hottest team in the country right now, the Florida Gators. I say that tongue-in-cheek. I say that the best coach in the country right now, Billy Napier, right?
That's insult to injury, the fact that he decommitted from Florida State and is now pledged to Florida.
That's great, though. I love it. FAU has fired Tom Herman as head coach. He had 3 years left on his deal, but they said it doesn't matter. He's got to go. UMass has fired Don Brown after going 6-28 and 3 seasons.
Honestly, 6 wins is pretty good for UMass. Let's be real. I mean, it's UMass. There's ass right there in the name of the school.
6-28 is not bad. And the biggest news of the day, Clemson, South Carolina announced as a noon kick. Tolos, how do you feel about that?
That sucks.
Noon freaking kick next Saturday.
And you know what, Tolos? You can overreact about it and other things next. It's our Overreaction Monday segment. Call in. Be ready to go. Don't wait until we get into the next break. Call in now, 844-326-3663. That's the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone line. Start texting in at 71307. Start your text with keyword fan. The Overreaction Monday starts next. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. You got something to yell about, bitch and moan, complain about, whatever you want to do. This is your opportunity to overreact on a Monday. Cole, you and I each have 3 overreactions to get to. But first, we go right to the head of the line. Callers, you get to go first. JD's got something to say on the Tolo Takeover. JD, what's on your mind?
Well, first of all, gentlemen, thank you for taking my call. My first one, though, is how about these Clemson Tigers and these South Carolina Gamecocks thinking that Cade Klubnik and Rocket Sanders just made these outstanding plays to win the game? Can we not overreact about how terrible the tackling was on both of those plays? I mean, Rocket Sanders ran through like 5 dudes and nobody tackled him. Cade Klubnik ran through several dudes and nobody tackled him. So I'm overreacting that we're overreacting about the fact that Rocket and Cade saved our day. And then how
JD,
about
real quick. I want to cut in. You know how much Rocket Sanders weighs by chance?
About 225.
230. Tackling a 230-pound running back's easier said than done.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, trust me, I'm not getting out there and tackling him. I'm a $135 soaking wet. So I promise you I'm not tackling him. But guess what I'm also not doing? I'm not getting out there 5 days a week and practicing tackling. So, hey, I knew I would ruffle some feathers. Here I am to stir the pot. And then how about this one, though? This one will really get you guys. How about it took little bitty Cole Bryson to get a viral moment with Shane Beamer this weekend? How about that overreaction? It took little bitty Cole Bryson from the Fan Upstate, who can barely reach back there and hit the dump button.
I can't reach it.
He was able to get a Beamer viral moment. Hey, congratulations to us all. 2 weeks from now, November 30th, it's going to be a great day. Y'all be blessed, not stressed.
Thanks, JD.
Can you provide some context on this, Cole?
The viral moment?
Yeah, the viral moment. I don't know what he's talking about.
I can provide it. Are you being serious?
I really don't know.
So here's the
when I go on vacation, man, I go into a bubble.
No, you unplugged. I get it.
I disappear.
Like it. All right, so here's the audio. Shane, you guys have defeated an AP ranked opponent in 3 consecutive weeks for the first time in school history. What does that mean for the trajectory?
Say that one more time. I like that. Say that one more.
You've defeated an AP ranked opponent for 3 consecutive weeks for the first time in school history.
Wow. I did not realize that. Was that in your game notes this week? Crap. Sorry, I dropped the ball, Fink. I had to think a bunch of stuff to tell the players with what we just accomplished, but I was probably right here, and it just got smeared with some of the Gatorade. What does it say? What's the question? I'm sorry.
What's it say for the trajectory of the program?
Yeah, we're on the right track. You talk about the young players we have in this program right now, the quarterback, Dylan, I mean, on and on and on. You talk about the recruits that are here tonight, the ones that are committed to us, the ones that we're recruiting. It just we're the best. I tell high school prospects and their families all the time that the best days of South Carolina football are right in front of us. And I truly believe that with the direction that we're headed right now. And you saw, I mean, there's been so many great moments from this season, and it's pretty cool to be a part of.
So I'm still getting notifications as of right now.
Huge, man. Way to go.
It's just blowing up.
Way to go. Where did you pull that stat from? Like,
if I told you, I have to kill you right here live on the radio. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to kill anybody on air or off.
I want to live.
You do want to live.
I want to live.
So I pulled it. I'll tell you this. I was not given the stat. I'll tell you that much. I was not given the stat. As of right now, it's still going. 116,000 as of right now on X. I even had somebody yesterday text me and say, "Hey, you're all over TikTok right now." And I said, "No, I had no idea." Pulled up TikTok. Way more on TikTok than X.
Huge.
So Beamer, a little.
Is your face on it, or is it
just voice? Oh, that's a good thing, though. You don't want to ruin it.
You never know, man. You can get all kinds of Gamecock ladies in your inbox.
Well, it's funny how things change. I mean, beginning of the season, Gamecock fans hated me because I was taking shots at the fan base, right? Leaving early at the game. Remember that whole post that went $500,000. And then now this one, everybody, that's the way fans are. They love to hate the love, right?
If I remember any line from the movie Gladiator, Cole, the mob is fickle.
Yes.
The mob is fickle.
It's very true.
So this is Overreaction Monday. Here's your chance to call in. Text in 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663, or text in at 71307. Start your text with keyword fan. Overreact about something that happened over the weekend. Cole, you and I create our own. Would you like to go first? Would you like to do the honors? Since you had the viral moment, I think you get to have your time in the sun.
So if I get to have the time in the sun, can I defer to a texter and actually not get to mine right now? Because there's a text that I got to read.
Well, is it the texter about Pop-Tarts saying
no.
s'mores Pop-Tarts?
No. This one's better. Texter says, my overreaction is Rob Brown should be put on administrative leave for the stupid I told you so rant he went on this morning about the Tyson Paul fight. I mean, come on. He always thinks he has to be right, and he lets everybody know it. Please show him this, Eric.
Wow, Eric.
Oh, that's
spiking the football.
I love
on
it.
Rob Brown.
So I'll toss it back to you, Diesel.
Yeah,
I'll let you go on that one.
All right, I'll go first. I've got 3 overreactions for you. Number one, let's go ahead and hire Billy Napier for head coach of the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, boy.
We hired somebody who doesn't know what the hell he's doing, never had any head coaching experience whatsoever. Billy Napier is now responsible, Cole, for bringing 2 programs back from the depths. He has put out 2 dumpster fires, because I don't know if you know this, Cole. Things were not very good at Louisiana under Mark Hudspeth. And he brought Louisiana back from their abyss. He's seemingly bringing the Florida Gators back from their abyss. Could he do it one more time in the NFL?
So fire Canales.
Yep, get his ass out of there. Barely winning in Germany over a team that just benched their quarterback.
That's a great
And they're going to a guy who's clearly got the scent of gabagool on his breath.
So it's funny you brought that up. I actually have Billy Napier on one of my overreactions as well before we get to Tom. I say he deserves a contract extension, right? Not a new job, but hey, give him a raise, extend his contract. He's beating teams he's not supposed to beat. Diesel, 3 months ago, we were talking about Billy Napier not making it through the season. He's done okay.
Yeah.
He's done okay this year. So you kind of have to give him a little bit of credit, right?
My overreaction number 2, Cole, and you see it right here in front of you if you're watching on the stream. I went and saw Iron Maiden on Wednesday of last week, and this is something that I told myself I would never do. This is a bootleg t-shirt from outside of the show. I don't like buying the bootleg t-shirts because I don't know what kind of crap they make these things out of, how long it's going to last, et cetera, Cole. But I'm in a venue that is hosting a band that's been around for like 50 years.
Okay.
Has a dozen or more platinum albums. They are so stinking rich. And take a wild guess what their t-shirts cost inside the venue.
That one?
Well, not this one. This is a bootleg.
Oh, the ones inside the venue.
The ones inside the venue. $50.
I was going to say 45.
$50. You got millionaires trying to extract $50 a pop for t-shirts out of hardworking blue collar men and women.
So
their hoodies were $100. I wanted a hoodie. The hoodies were $100. I said, hell no. We went outside, we bargained with the guy, and we got his t-shirts down from $20 each to 2 for $20.
How about that? All right, my second one is Colorado and South Carolina are both top 5 teams in the country.
Wow. What?
Country.
What?
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
I said it. Colorado and South Carolina, Diesel, they're both top 5 teams. I'm just telling you, when you talk about the best teams in the country, Colorado and South Carolina deserve to be there.
So you're looking at this like Kelly Ford's most deserving, not a power rating right now, right?
Most deserving. I think they're better than half of the field in front of them.
Does a most deserving team get blown out 24-3? Does a most deserving team lose a 17-point lead? No, miss me with that.
Come on.
Miss me with that.
You don't like it?
Colorado is a very good team. South Carolina is a very good team, but top 5.
Top 5,
on, dude.
Top 5.
Come on, man.
Come on.
You're gonna need one of those internet chiropractors to realign you from all that reaching.
Massage therapist.
Yeah, it's crazy. Before we both have one more on top of this, Cole, but we want to get to Tom in Somerville, who's got his overreaction on a Monday. Tom, what you got?
Diesel, I don't know what Iron Maid is, but if you don't think the Gamecocks are a top 5 team in the country right now, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? Now, you mentioned do top 5 teams get blown out? Well, Georgia got blown out. People love them. Alabama was up 1,000,000 to nothing on them. They let Georgia come back and take the lead. I mean, that's just football. But the fact is, right now, there is nobody, and I mean nobody, playing better than Lenore Sellers and the South Carolina Gamecocks. This team right now, you can put them up against anybody. I mean anybody. Even the Dallas Cowboys wouldn't stand a chance against this
That's
team
not
right
saying
now.
much, Tom. That's not saying much.
The Gamecocks are just better than everybody they're playing right now. And I would love to see this team play anybody in the top 10, because you can't tell me that Lenore Sellers isn't the best quarterback in the country. He is, and he's showing it on the field every single Saturday.
Tom,
Tom,
on my way to work today, I saw a big SUV with a Dallas Cowboys sticker in the back window and a wheelchair on a trailer hitch, and I thought, damn, if that's not a metaphor for this team's season.
It's true.
That's bad. It's bad.
But I mean, it's what Cole just said is not an overreaction. I mean, it's true. They've beaten 3 consecutive top 25 teams, like he brought up on Saturday. Credit to Cole for bringing that up, by the way. And you know, right now, this is probably the most fun any Gamecock fans ever had since either the Spurrier years or 1984 before Navy. Okay, this team right now is awesome, and they better beat Wofford. They better beat Wofford. But all I know is you little Tigers, in 2 weeks, you better be ready for the biggest butt whooping this rivalry has ever seen, because it is going to be a beatdown. It is going to be a thumping. The Gamecocks are going to walk into Death Valley and win the game 49-0.
At noon, by the way. At noon, by the way, Tom. At noon.
At noon. High noon. I'll be there. But my biggest overreaction is Lenore Sellers is going to win 3 consecutive Heisman trophies starting next year.
3.
I'm gonna cut him off right there, because that's as good as it gets.
Monday. So after Tom overreacts 10 times, then he says, my biggest overreaction.
Cole,
Tom's great, man.
My third is that 2 of Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, or Sauce Gardner will leave the Jets this offseason to get the hell away from Aaron Rodgers' salty ass.
Do you know what their record is, by the way, since they fired Robert Saleh? You want to guess?
I'm going to guess like 1-3.
1-5.
1-5.
1-5.
Clearly Robert
Saleh
was the
problem, right? I mean, come on, man. That's the most atrocious record since you fired a coach. He wasn't the problem. He wasn't. So that, you know what? I don't hate that.
Yeah.
Breece Hall's too good of a player.
I think one of them is going to be Devontae Adams. He's going to say, you know what, bro? I came here to win with you. You suck. I'm gone.
He's just not good anymore. He's not. All right.
Aaron or Devontae?
Aaron.
Okay.
Aaron. No, I like Devontae Adams. My third one, Diesel, my third overreaction is also NFL related. There is no one that can play. And I'll repeat, no one in the NFL that can play on the same field right now as the Detroit Lions. No one. Not Buffalo, not Philadelphia, not Kansas City. No one can play on the same field. And
you put money on them to win the Super Bowl?
Like, if
a lot of things could happen, but I guess a good shot.
Well, you said exactly what I said last week on Thursday. A lot of things can happen. Okay, it's November the 18th today, right? They're on a different level. However, I've watched Diesel enough NFL football to know there's still a lot of football left. There is. A lot of things could happen between now and then. Somebody could get hurt. Something could happen. But to answer your question, yeah. I mean, there's nobody right now in my mind. Buffalo's really good. my preseason pick was Baltimore to win the Super Bowl. I still think it has a shot, but right now it looks like Detroit's just going to run roughshod. 2 weeks ago, the quarterback Jared Goff threw 5 picks and they still won a game. Think about that. You throw 5 picks and you still win the game. That shows like maybe this is destiny. Maybe Jared Goff is just right now on a different level that can't be touched regardless of if he plays well or plays like trash. I don't think there's anybody that can hang with him.
Texter says, too bad 49-0 wouldn't even be the biggest beatdown that rivalry has seen. Clemson whooped that ass 51-0 in 1900. Wow, Texter's throwing it back at Tom, bringing out the 1900 Clemson, South Carolina game. Texter says, my overreaction is Tom.
There's nothing about Tom that's overreaction. Diesel, the next caller, you can see on the screen what I've labeled it as. I want you to read it on air as I've labeled the next caller. If you
guess who?
Can you guess who? Let me give you a hint. This person, this Tolo, is the definition of Tolo. However, until last week, never knew that you could pick up the phone and call the show. Does that give it away?
No. Who only ever texts in.
Or stream. The definition of Tolo. Who turns it on and leaves it on more than anyone?
Madcraft.
Oh, am I in?
You're in.
Hey, listen.
He called.
Oh, no way. I got it right.
He called.
What?
You called?
No, Madcraft has called the show. No. Have you called the show before?
No, not until last week.
No.
Dude.
He didn't know he didn't have phone service. I guess he didn't know that you could dial numbers. Somebody taught him how to call somebody.
No, listen, I didn't call in for y'all to make fun of me.
I'm sorry. That's my bad. I'll take the L on that one. That's my fault.
No, I'm just messing with you. Hey, listen, I heard what you said, though, and I'm going to tell y'all right now, the dadgum Chargers are going to the Super Bowl. All right? It's Jim Harbaugh's time. It's our time. It's our time, baby.
In his first year, you're saying it's give the man a season to figure it out.
We had enough. We already figured it out.
You know, I watched that. By the way, Madcraft, I watched that game last night, start to end. It was a good game. The refs were definitely in y'all's pockets. There's no doubt. Justin Herbert is on another level with Jim Harbaugh. I cannot deny. They are. You might be right, but if you said right now the Lions and Chargers played today, would you take your Chargers?
Oh, I don't know. The Lions are good.
They're good, man. They're good.
They're good, man.
But the Chargers are good. I give y'all credit.
I said go into the Super Bowl, not winning.
Oh, okay. Just get there.
I appreciate that little backup right there. Threw it in reverse, hand over the seat, looking over his shoulder.
Hey, look, they're good.
You know?
They're really good. I'm a fan of the Harbaugh, and they talked about it like 9 million times last night. I'm a real big fan of the Harbaugh-Herbert connection. I think it helps a lot. And I think, you know what? You might be right. You might be. And that'd be AFC, NFC, right? Chargers and Lions.
Yeah. And I believe we got best defense in the league right now.
Yeah, but you know what? You kind of let that. I mean, last night the Bengals were dead to rights, right?
Yeah.
Let them slip back in. McPherson missed what? How many field goals did he miss last night? 2?
Yeah, he missed 2, both wide left.
So yeah, you won last night, but boy, Joe Burrow played so good. I guess I could say while they played good, while the Chargers did play good, I guess I could say the Bengals should have won last night.
Well, I'm just going to let you know right now. Who's got it better than us?
Oh, here we go.
Nobody.
Thanks, Jim Harbaugh.
Thank you.
Nobody. Who's got it better than us? Madcraft called the show. We love it, man.
Cole, one of my biggest overreactions is that you are going to finish with fewer than 5 points.
All right, it's time to go to break.
In the wire-to-wire upset picks challenge standings. Because my God, dude, like you got lead boots on.
Yeah, it's bad.
Weighing you down because you have now fallen all the way back to 70th place.
I'm going to crawl under the table.
Not 7th, not 17th, 70th.
Do you know what my upset pick was on Saturday?
No.
UL Monroe to defeat Auburn. And let's just, for the sake of argument and for the sake of time, do a good old, hey, what was the score of the Auburn football game Saturday? Of course, when Siri's needed most, Siri. I tell you what, man,
sounds like Netflix.
I
on
cuss
Friday night.
Siri more than I do anybody else. Siri absolutely. You ask Siri one question and she can't tell you the score. That's pitiful. What am I paying for here? Needless to say, Diesel, Auburn whooped UL Monroe. It wasn't close. I thought 22-point spread. Hey, I might be able to make up some ground. But you know what, man? I'm at the bottom. There's no doubt. I'm at the bottom right now, and I've got a long way to go.
Yeah, and we'll get to those standings a little bit later on in the show. That's for sure.
What's the song, Long Way to Go, and a short time to get there?
Got a long way to go.
That's me, man.
Short time to get there.
That's me. That is me right now. Let's get back into the college football discussion on the other side. A couple of questions and scenarios when it comes to local teams and college football playoff scenarios next. DB on the YouTube stream says, I'm still sitting at a big fat effing 0. That's my overreaction.
Dan, just ride with me.
Diesel's done well lately.
I've done well. I've moved up into the top 20 on this challenge.
Man, you're hot. You're hot right now.
Feeling good.
I'm telling you. Just hope I don't give you one of those Amazon guy jinx.
Please don't.
No, I won't.
Please don't, because Amazon. We're gonna get to that in the next segment. Let's not spoil it.
All right. I want to get into playoff scenarios here. Before we do that, let's go to the phones. 844 fan phone 844-326-3663. Harold in Greenville wants to chime in. What's up, Harold?
Just listen to y'all. Turn on, leave on. Listen.
We appreciate that.
I had one more. Listen, I'm so happy the Gamecocks pulled that thing out. But, I waited till Friday, and I didn't know you was going to play that thing with, who was it, Smitty you was talking with?
Yes, Friday.
Yeah, well, I had to get the producer, and I checked. Listen, I was going to take Stanford in 19.5, and I should have had 21.
Uh-huh.
But at the listen, I got such a bad feeling with Missouri and the Gamecocks. I took Missouri.
Oh, he did
at the last minute.
Yeah, our producer texted me that. I did get that pick in, by the way. He did text me.
Well, that's the reason, because, listen, I've been with the Gamecocks since 1974, Jim Carlin. I've seen so much, and this thing, every time they get ranked, it seems like they did have a down game.
They did.
The first ranking. So that's what scared me, but gosh, I'm looking at it now. I've been sitting, about 41, something like that. That's been 3 straight picks, Yeah, but anyway, and Diesel, I didn't know you're from Burlington, right?
No, I'm from Hickory.
Hickory, okay, yeah, that's where the Noah Ryan was at. Okay,
that's right.
I had that other one up there in Burlington.
That's Elon.
Anyway, yeah, Elon, there you go. Well, when I was Bilo, I've been to all of you, years there, back and forth. I was a truck driver for Bilo. And anyway, I'm glad. Listen, I don't know what what bothers me now is this game coming up next week. You're going I just wanted to let Robbie Ashford start the game and just play the whole game.
Not a bad idea. They did it against Akron, Harold. Remember that?
But do you risk maybe wiping off some of the magic?
And they got 2 or 3 players that's beat up too, and it needs to be rested. But I'd sure hold them out for that. And Clemson, about the Clemson deal, they want to see Clemson win the ACC and of course Texas A&M win the SEC, because that'd been 2 wins for Carolina if they beat, with Clemson beating the ACC champ and the SEC champ when you come to the end of the year about doing all this stuff you got to do. Look at
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I think fans is wanting to see Clemson win the ACC. By the way, how did Miami and the SEC come out?
Say that one more time? Miami and who?
How did Miami and the SEC this week come out on their game? Did they win? It's not the SEC. What is it? Southern Methodist?
SMU. SMU won 38-28 over Boston College.
Yep.
So they got another game. So
they both won.
Miami.
That's right. Miami Miami would have to lose once, or SMU would have to lose twice, Harold, for Clemson to backdoor their way into the ACC championship.
Okie dokie. Okay, guys.
Thank you, man.
Harold. That's an interesting conversation, Cole. I mean, look, Clemson needs one of these 2 teams to lose this weekend or over the next 2 weeks.
Well,
they need Miami to drop
look
one
at who
more.
They play, though. Boston College Wake and Syracuse. Is that right? Miami's not going to lose in my mind. I don't think SMU will lose both. They have to have SMU Diesel lose both.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
SMU needs to drop 2 down the stretch.
And they have Virginia this week.
Yes, that's correct.
And then Cal. They're not losing to either one of those. I don't think they might lose one, but they're not going to lose to both Virginia and Cal.
Miami hosts Wake, and then they go on the road at Syracuse. SMU plays at Virginia and then hosts Cal, which could be a potentially scary game. Cal has shown flashes this year,
but they've got to lose both, though. That's the problem.
They got to lose both. So
and Miami has to lose one.
Right.
Who of those 2 you just read? Miami. They're not going to lose either one of those.
No, I mean, the most likely loss out of all these that I see would be SMU Cal.
Yeah.
And then probably Miami Syracuse second, but there's a big gap between those.
There is. And that's the conversation we're having now, college football playoff scenario-wise, Diesel. Clemson, obviously, when you talk about them having a shot, yes, they have a shot. We just told you what would have to happen. I don't think that happens. I think just like we talked to David Hood about earlier in the show, and by the way, we'll have that interview for you again in about an hour, but I think that's slim to none. I really do. So when you look at Clemson's season, they're going to have to be okay with that Pop-Tart Bowl, whether it be brown sugar and cinnamon or strawberry. I don't see them being in the conversation for a playoff. Now,
I'm trying to look and figure out what the tiebreaker scenario would be between Clemson and Miami, both being one-loss teams in the ACC. So, to me, I mean, obviously Clemson would have lost to the better team as opposed to Miami's loss.
I forget which of the tiebreakers which come first, but there's a lot of tiebreakers in there. Now, South Carolina, though, let's go to that side of the coin. Does South Carolina have a legitimate shot at the playoffs? Do they have a shot? Is there a percentage chance out there? Sure. Is it going to happen? No. So both of these programs in our state, Diesel, are going to be disappointed. I know there's a lot of conversation to be had with South Carolina of if they beat Clemson, their resume, despite the losses, are as good as it gets. However, you just can't go off of what you've done. You said it earlier. You have too many blemishes, and that's the problem.
And the fact is that Clemson doesn't look good enough right now to make anybody say, "Wow, South Carolina just beat that Clemson team." Look, I hope that not a single South Carolina Gamecock fan feels disappointed in the fact if in the scenario that you get close. Let's say you finish 13th in the country, right? Which is not an implausible scenario here. And you miss the college football playoff. Please do not feel disappointed in that and understand that this is a springboard going into next season. Certainly you lose some key pieces. Rocket Sanders, tight end, Simon is, I believe Joshua Simon is also a senior. Or is he a junior?
Can't think off the top of my head.
There are some key pieces who are going to be leaving you after this season, but my God, you got the quarterback situation figured out.
You do have that figured out.
And if I'm sure Lenora Sellers is being paid real well, and I'm sure they're going to throw even more NIL at him in the offseason. And, he's going to have absolutely no reason whatsoever to leave South Carolina. So you go, if the answer is go to the portal, get yourself another great tight end and a great running back. I mean, clearly you've got a precedent now of elite running backs coming in and finding success. The sky's the limit, and maybe next year is the year that South Carolina makes a run. Certainly, it's tough being in the SEC.
It's tough. I have two more questions though on the college football playoff scenario. The first one: can Colorado steal a bid from an SEC team? Diesel, we talked about in the show earlier today the tightness, the margin of error between all of these SEC programs, the parity. A lot of those teams having 2 losses. Colorado also has 2 losses, by the way. Could they steal a bid from, let's say, an Ole Miss? Could an Ole Miss be on the outside looking in because Colorado got in? Or are they going to have to put 5 teams from the SEC in, or 6? Here's a tweet from earlier today, Diesel, that I want to bring to your attention. When it comes to the SEC, Colorado, margin for error, and Indiana, which is also my next question. Indiana has 0 wins over bowl-eligible teams. Okay. Bama has 4, Ole Miss has 3, A&M has 3, Texas has 2, Georgia has 2, South Carolina has 2, Mizzou and LSU also have 2, and Tennessee have 1. So as of right now, when you look at the playoff scenarios, I ask about Colorado, but also an Indiana team that has 0 wins over bowl-eligible teams, Diesel. They're going to lose Saturday to Ohio State. What happens with them falling? How far could that let a Colorado in, or does that just let potentially a 6th SEC team in?
Do we want the college football playoff? And some of you will put a grin on your face and say yes to the answer to this, but I'm asking you a real question. do we want this college football playoff to be all SEC? Like, isn't that dull?
Ooh.
Isn't that uninteresting?
Depends what your motive is, right?
Yeah,
Depends what your end goal is.
I mean, if the goal, which one of the reasons for one of the stated goals for a college football playoff expansion was to bring more of the country into the postseason, because we had supposedly gotten bored with the same 5-6 teams being in the college football playoff every year. They weren't getting good ratings out west. They weren't getting good ratings in Big Ten country, et cetera, et cetera. If the goal is to spread around the interest by geographically plucking teams. Oh, we're going to get the Midwest if we put in Indiana. We're going to get out west if we put in Colorado. We're going to get the Pacific Northwest if Oregon, does what we all think they're going to do and be in the college football playoff. I mean, do we really want this thing to get so insular that it's 10 SEC teams and 2 others? I mean,
it depends. Again, I don't want it to be.
I wouldn't be as entertained by that.
No, but at the
because
same
we
time,
just saw that in the regular season.
No, I'm with you. I agree with your point, but I also don't want it to be the reason for expanding the playoffs just to let others in, right? I don't want that to be the reason we expanded the playoffs. I truly want the committee, with their responsibility they have, Diesel, to find the 12 best, most deserving, complete body of work.
Yeah.
Who needs to be there? If Indiana loses to Ohio State badly, do they need to be there?
Let's just say, well, okay, if they lose badly, it certainly hurts them. Where are they right now in the
college football playoff?
In the CFP rankings?
They're high.
Just so we know, I think they're in the top 10. I think they're what, 6, 7?
I'm pulling it up now.
Something
They
like
are.
that.
They are 5.
They're 5. Okay,
They're 5.
So Indiana at 5 gets beat by Ohio State by 21 plus.
Yeah.
I think Indiana falls as far as 12. I don't think they fall all the way out with a blowout loss.
But
to
do
Ohio
they deserve
State.
to be in the final 12?
I mean, if you're look, what do we want this to be? I mean, are you telling me body of work means nothing because you played one bad game and you ran into a buzzsaw?
Well, no,
I mean,
I'm not.
If by that logic you could say South Carolina doesn't deserve to be in or to be even close, because they got blown out by Ole Miss.
I look at the competition Indiana's played: FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State.
Okay, so you're looking at this in a compartmentalized 1 week by 1 week scenario. You know full well as well as I do, Cole, it is really, really hard to maintain a level of consistency all season long. The fact that Indiana has not tripped up and essentially lost to themselves once this season and are 10-0, have gone on a 10-game win streak with a brand new head coach, that's impressive as hell. And I don't want to live in a college football world where a team can do everything that is asked of them and be told that's not good enough because you don't wear the right patch on your jersey.
No, I'm with you. I'm not saying that the patch matters more than the accomplishments. I hear you. They have not lost as of yet. Here's my fear with Indiana.
Because then the people just get high on their own farts, right?
Well, they do.
You get high on your own supply and the belief that the SEC is superior. And this year it would be true. But it's not going to be true in every year.
Here's my issue. Last thing I'll say. I know we got to run. If Indiana were to get in after getting blown out by Ohio State and Diesel Ole Miss, let's say, gets left out, I'd have a problem. I'd have a problem with a team like Ole Miss, who I know has had some blemishes. And to your point, Indiana has not. They'll have one after Saturday because you and I both think they're going to lose to Ohio State. But there are so many good teams. We thought this expansion would fix everything. It hasn't.
Well, to a point that I brought up earlier in the show about something Josh Pate said on his Saturday wrap-up, it's not necessarily going to be letting in more teams from more conferences to build a broader fan base for the college football playoff. What Josh said is that it's actually going to give the teams like Georgia this year that have slipped up twice now. It's going to give the Ole Misses who have slipped up a couple times. It's going to give them an opportunity to jump the other teams from other conferences that people are going to believe aren't as good conferences or aren't as good teams because of the conference they played in. And then ultimately we're going to have more and more SEC teams in the college football playoff. When we come back, Cole, the standings are out.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Things are going well in Diesel Land. How are they going for you, Tolos? We will run through the upset picks standings next. Feeling good. Feeling fine.
What's that
inside
song?
the top 20
Feeling good
of the Upset Picks Challenge standings here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Cole, you are way down there at the bottom.
Boy, if we were on a golf course, though, if we were on a golf course, I'd be whooping it right now.
No, well, we're not. Well, we're not. So the college football playoff, the Ingles College Football Picks Challenge standings are out. They're hot off the presses. Got a couple of interesting stats and things to tell you about. 4 Tolos fell off the board. Tisk tisk. Where you at? Where you at?
They fell off the what?
Fell off the board.
Not the header off the press box is which I kind of want to do right now.
Do a header off the top of the press box. Unfortunately, it's too low. It wouldn't kill me.
That's how I feel right now.
All the way down there in 70th place. Think about this, Cole. Delvin didn't have any points at all until like week 9 of this challenge. And Delvin has more points than you.
Don't tell me that.
Delvin has more points than you.
That's not good.
What?
Good.
You've been.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy with this.
We had 2 brand new Tolos join the game to make 204 total unique players in the Upset Picks Challenge, which is awesome.
It is awesome.
And the great thing about that, Tolos, is we get to say we had 204 players and that you were here for 12 weeks. We get to multiply that and say, bam, that's like 2,500.
Yeah.
That we get to go to sales and say, hey, guess what? 2,500 players were here every single week. That's a dedicated fan base. We got to get these Tolos some prizes
next year
next year.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have prizes.
We're working on that hard, Tolos, to make this thing even bigger.
Yeah.
T-Ray and Oculus both jumped into the top 10 in the Upset Picks Challenge. Congratulations to them. And only 11 Tolos got a correct pick last week, and I was one of them.
Only 11?
Only 11.
That's not good.
Only 11. I didn't go back and see what all the picks were, Cole, so I can't think off the top of my head what games hit and what Tolos actually hit on their picks. But here's the top 25 as it stands right now. First place, Twisted Whisker with 59.5 points. Noel is in second place with 58 points. John Dog in third with 57.5. The medal stand is separated by just 2 points. T-Ray jumps up to fourth place with 49.5. Reed Atkins and Joe D and Clemson Oculus tied with 47.5 points. They are tied for fifth place. Eighth place, Justin L has 47. Ninth place, Amazon Guy has 44.5. So, Cole, your curse has not been lifted. Amazon Guy has precipitously fallen out of the top spot.
The fact that I have that much power, though.
You didn't realize the nexus of all things.
It's great, man.
Is you. Billy Horn is in 10th place with 44 points. He is tied with Jake Crane. 12th place is Reese Davis from College Game Day. He has 41 points. In 13th place, we have a tie between Notre Dame Nate and Roger Carper with 38. 15th place, Greenville Gamecock has 37.5 points. 16th, Mike Main with 36. 17th place, we got a four-way tie there between Scotty Mack, Brandon Gosnell, Brandon Famore, and me.
Oh, my
34 points. I took Arizona State this weekend to get the upset, and I picked up, I believe, something like 7 points on that one. I was on the golf. Here's the thing, Cole. I almost forgot to send in my upset pick.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. I was on the golf course. I was about 5 or 6 Coors Lights in at that time, and I thought, oh, crap, I have to get an upset pick in. I have to start texting all our
So what you're
celebrities.
saying is you got lucky.
You know what? I'm so good that I don't even have to be sober for this. 21st place, Buckeye Brian. He has 31.5. 22nd place, John Corley with 30.5. 23rd place, Josh Pate with 30 points. Dion is in 24th place with 28.5. And we've got a two-way tie in 25th, CJ from Greer and Clemson Jeff, both with 28 points.
And by the way, I am going to spend my off season changing my strategy, doing self-reflecting, looking in the mirror, trying to figure out what I need to do next year strategy-wise because, look, I don't like to lose, man. I don't like to lose. Not at all. Diesel, in the very next segment, we open the show this way. We're going to get back into it. Brand new audience at 6 o'clock. why this South Carolina team is different than years past teams. Also, Gamecock fans, if you're just getting all for it, want to talk about the big win over Mizzou, you can. Phone lines are open, 844-326-3663.
22 seconds remaining, 2 timeouts. Blitz by Missouri. Shuffle pass inside Sanders. Inside the 10, 5. Rocket going for it. Touchdown Carolina. Touchdown Rocket Sanders. From 15 yards out. The Gamecocks.
Whoa! Yeah!
Are you kidding
Whoa!
me?
Yeah, no, hell no, we just scored.
Oh my gosh. Shuffle pass. Listen to this crowd.
Like, I love play-by-play guys, but is there anything better than the overexcited color commentary?
Whoa! Wow! Yeah! Here you go, one more time. Tommy Suggs, by the way.
Touchdown Rocket Sanders from 15 yards out.
Here you go, right here.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, hell no, we just scored.
Oh my gosh. Shuffle pass.
That's so great, man.
Listen to this.
That's a great call by Todd and Tom. Love him or hate him. You got a hat tip. That's a good one. The crowd was so loud. You know what makes those calls, Diesel, is the crowd noise. It really does. I mean,
I love it when play-by-play guys stop talking for a second and you hear all that roar behind it.
I tell you what, man, I have a big problem, not to get off on a tangent here, at the high school level even. Like, there's a lot of internet broadcast out there and other radio stations. You've got to use that crowd mic. The listener at home, they don't want to hear you in a can talking like this, like, hey, this is all you can hear right now. No, you got to have crowd. You got to have the environment.
That sounds like my high school play-by-play guy now.
I'm just saying, you got to have that environment. Like, if you're
Red Tornadoes on the 35.
Was it really Red Tornado?
Yeah, we were the Red Tornadoes.
No way, that's a great mascot. Red Tornado. What is a red tornado? I mean,
what's a green wave?
Well, that's true, I guess. I never heard of it. I've never heard Red Tornado until now.
What's a golden hurricane?
They're just taking a catastrophic weather event and putting a color in front of it, right? Is that what we're doing now?
And my middle, like, everybody cares about this. My middle school mascot were the Cyclones.
Oh, the Cyclones is fine. I mean, that's normal. Green wave, yeah, I guess like easily is green wave. I still don't know what that is. What is green wave? I don't know.
Is it just that dirty water that comes out of the Gulf that
could be
washes over New Orleans every
couple
couple of years?
Don't talk about Myrtle Beach like that. Oh, you said the Gulf, not the East Coast. Sorry. Diesel, why is this South Carolina team different than teams of the past? 71307. Start your text with the word fan. That's what I want to know. From you texters, from you Tolos, from you Gamecock fans out there, in your mind, what makes this team different? I thought the play calling on Saturday night, when they needed it to be great, was great. I did think it was vanilla throughout the middle part of the game, Diesel. But the first drive was great by Dowell Loggins. The last drive, and you know what? It was funny, the conversations being had in the press box. A couple of guys were talking. At times, it almost looked like Lenora Sellers just said, F it. I'll go win this game, right? And, like, that's the ability that he has. Screw whatever play calling's out there. I'll go win the game. He has that just God-given ability to go make plays you're just not used to seeing. The play calling when they needed to be good. They needed it to be great. It was great at the very end of the game. I love the shovel pass to Rocket.
Yeah. You've got creativity in the quarterback position right now. And look, I mean, this sounds very easy to say. It sounds like a cop-out to say it, but you finally, for the first time in a long time, got a difference maker at quarterback. You got a difference maker at quarterback. You've had good wide receivers, really good wide receivers over the years. Sterling Sharp and Alshon Jeffrey and Sidney Rice and guys like them. You know, you've had really good wide receivers, and you've also had some good quarterbacks, but have you had them at the same time?
Well, I think his athletic ability is just one of those things, Diesel, you can't coach. And Spencer Rattler was a really good quarterback.
And he's actually matured, right? He's matured in front of our faces.
Here's what I think also helps. The offensive line's improved. But when you have a running back, this is true at any level, high school, college, pro, when you have a running back that you can trust, Diesel, it helps. Rocket Sanders is different in terms of what other running backs are. JD called in earlier on Overreaction Monday, and I brought this up to him. Diesel, Rocket Sanders is 230 freaking pounds. That is a linebacker. That's a linebacker size. Just for comparison, when you look at past years' running backs for South Carolina, George Rogers, the Heisman Trophy winner in George Rogers was 228. Marcus Lattimore was 221. Last year, Mario Anderson was 208. Marshawn Lloyd in 2022 was 212 pounds soaking wet. In 2021, Kevin Harris was 220. Tavian Feaster, 221. Rico Dowdle, 215. Brandon Wilds was 215. Mike Davis in 2014 was 223. Kenny Miles was 183. My point is the Gamecocks have not had a bruiser like this in decades, literally decades. They have a guy beside Lenora Sellers that they can hand the ball off to, and you can call it poor tackling if you want on that last carry. I call it a 230-pound linebacker that's also playing running back that cannot be stopped.
And wide receiver who can catch the ball out of the backfield and take off with it.
He's so good, man. They just have so many different elements of this offense, and I think that's why they're so successful right now.
Here's one thing that scares me in that sense, Cole. I'm looking at their running back roster right now. And look, you might be able to go find another Rocket Sanders out of the portal. You might be able to pull some all-everything running back out of high school, but then again, he'll still be a freshman, right? You got Rocket Sanders gone. Jawarn Howard is 217 pounds. DJ Braswell, 210 pounds. Nathan Harris Waynick, 205 pounds. The only other big guy you got on the team, Oscar Attaway, is a sixth-year guy. He's gone too.
Yeah, he is.
Matthew Fuller, he's 225 pounds. If you can develop Matthew Fuller and hang on to him for a couple of years, you got another guy who could be a Rocket Sanders type of player. I mean, come on, he's 5'11", 225. That's a 1-inch difference and a 5-pound difference. They're the same kind of player.
Well, I think what you're seeing is running backs like Rocket Sanders, when healthy, Diesel, when healthy, don't grow on trees, right?
Sure.
You just can't find these guys anywhere. And look, South Carolina's had really good running backs in their history. Marshawn Lloyd wasn't bad. Kevin Harris wasn't bad. Tavian Feaster was good. Rico Dowdle was good. Brendan Wilds was good. We all know what Marcus Lattimore was. He was elite. But running backs like this just don't grow on trees. The scene, the crowd, the environment, Diesel, I'm telling you, man, South Carolina very easily could have been walking out of that stadium Saturday night disappointed because they could not beat Missouri. They just couldn't do it. They haven't beaten, it's been a thorn in their side, right, when it comes to Eli Drinkwitz. But the way they responded, I think this South Carolina team is different in so many aspects. But I think the DNA, the makeup of this football team, they've gone through a lot of fire early in the season. The LSU loss, the Alabama loss, they're almost refined in a way now where they almost feel like they just can beat anyone on any given day.
So portal in the offseason, South Carolina's main things they're looking for. Number one, they got to find another big-bodied running back. They got to find another big-bodied, tall wide receiver, and they got to get some offensive line depth. If you can get those three things out of the portal, satisfy some combination of that, especially at offensive line, man, you're in really, really good shape. And then, Cole, I do wonder, I wonder in what ways will the South Carolina football program push Nick Harbor to stay with football and not drop the weight and get fast again for track, right? Because we've seen, and part of it is developmental, right? And part of it is also just how the body changes over the course of a season. Nick Harbor being in track shape, which he was phenomenal, had a phenomenal track season. And I know he loves being a track star, but we've seen it take a half a season or more to start getting Nick Harbor involved and get his body right. Because, I mean, come on, he's 6'5", 235. He can be a tremendous difference maker on this team.
You know,
if they can keep him in football shape and have him ready early, and that may be the difference in potentially dropping one of those games you don't want to drop.
You know, his touchdown on Saturday was only his second of the season.
Yeah.
Second touchdown.
Yeah.
So to your point,
part of it's they don't, people were saying they don't know how to use him. I don't know that that's necessarily true. You got smart people in that room who know how to use a big body wide receiver like that.
You've got to utilize him. You've got to utilize him going forward, regardless of what he does on track or not, because he's too good his upside's too good for him to have two touchdowns going into the last regular season game. Now, replacement-wise, yeah, running back's going to be huge. Having Lenora Sellers back, though, in year 2 with Dylan Stewart back, hopefully getting that $1.5 million to stay, and that defense bringing back a lot of pieces. Offensive line, like you talked about, obviously very important, but you've got to find a comparable back. I'm not saying running backs is important as quarterback, Diesel, by any means, but you've got to have somebody back there that can continue to be a SEC back, not a guy who's capable of running the football, an SEC back, SEC quality, SEC caliber. And then right now you look at what South Carolina's doing with Norris. Somebody brought this up earlier, but what makes this team different? What quarterback's playing better than the guy right now? Who out there is playing better football than Lenora Sellers? And it's fascinating to see the history that South Carolina's breaking. And I have the audio of me asking Shane Beamer about this history or this record being broken. Diesel, before I play this, though, think about this for a second. The question that I asked Beamer, 3 consecutive weeks of beating an AP-ranked opponent. Yes, that's impressive, but if you just step back and think about the fact that that's never been done before, beating an AP opponent for 3 consecutive weeks, that tells you that even with Spurrier, this South Carolina program, they're coming from the ashes. Like, they're coming from nowhere. In the SEC, newsflash, you better be able to beat SEC opponents who are ranked 3 weeks in a row if you want to be there when the season's, when you want to, if you want to be competing for a championship, you better be able to do that year in and year out.
Cole, listen to this. South Carolina has 3 4-star wide receivers hard committed right now for the 2025 class.
Yeah.
3. Malik Clark, big dude, 6'2.5", 180 pounds. Great, body type for a wide receiver. You got a 6'5.5" wide receiver. No, sorry, that's I'm looking at edge. Lex Cyrus, smaller body wide receiver, and you got Jordan Gidron, 6'2", 185 pounds. You've got the right body type guys coming in, and they are highly nationally ranked wide receivers.
Sure.
So I think you just go all in on RB1.
No, I like that.
And you're set for the 2025 year.
Here is Shane Beamer when I asked him about making history on Saturday, defeating an AP-ranked opponent for 3 consecutive weeks for the first time in school history. Shane, you guys have defeated an AP-ranked opponent in 3 consecutive weeks for the first time in school history. What does that mean for the trajectory?
Say that one more time. I like that. Say that more.
You've defeated an AP-ranked opponent for 3 consecutive weeks for the first time in school history.
Wow. I did not realize that. Was that in your game notes this week? Crap. Sorry, I dropped the ball, Fink. I had to think a bunch of stuff to tell the players with what we just accomplished, but I was probably right here, and it just got smeared with some of the Gatorade. What does it say? What's the question? I'm sorry.
What's it say for the trajectory of the program?
Yeah, we're on the right track. You talk about the young players we have in this program right now, the quarterback, Dylan, on and on and on. You talk about the recruits that are here tonight, the ones that are committed to us, the ones that we're recruiting. It just we're the best. I tell high school prospects and their families all the time that the best days of South Carolina football are right in front of us. And I truly believe that with the direction that we're headed right now. And you saw, there's been so many great moments from this season, and it's pretty cool to be a part of.
Diesel, you know what comes to my mind when I hear that? Is there any question as of November the 18th if Shane Beamer's the right guy for this program?
No.
Come on.
And we were questioning that as recently as like week 5.
Yes.
Honestly, we were saying, man, things are getting dire down there. Dowell Loggins isn't getting it done, but Shane Beamer's had multiple chances to hire offensive coordinators. Maybe that means it's Shane who needs to go. It wasn't that long ago, Cole, where we were putting Shane Beamer on the hot seat. He's now sitting on ice, my friend.
Oh, he's sitting on ice. There's no doubt. And look, we'll do our welfare check tomorrow, but he is sitting pretty. He's sitting cool. But what's that say to the testament of what he's done using the portal? His 2 best players, offense, defense, Diesel. Obviously talking about Rocket. You could argue Lenoris is better. But This team isn't successful this season without the portal, and that's a testament to what I said on Friday. And I opened the show with this, and I got a lot of feedback from Gamecock fans, not so much from Clemson fans, because I think they, are in a state of kind of hiding and resentment, if you will. But I said on Friday, Diesel, to open the show, that I believe South Carolina is on pace to become the premier program in the state. I really believe that. I think they're taking the step. I don't think they're there yet, but I did say that I think they're on pace. They're taking the right steps to become. Now, what do you have to do?
They're certainly the premier team in the state right now.
Between them and Clemson?
I understand that Clemson's ranked 2 spots higher than them, and I don't care about that.
Well,
they're a better team right now.
And I just mean in terms of the rivalry, like owning one another, right? Clemson calls them little bro. They've won in 2022. Clemson won in 23. But Diesel, in order for South Carolina to continue or to continually be that premier program and take those reins from Clemson, because Clemson's dominated the series, right? Mm-hmm. They have to win in 2 weeks, because that would be 2 out of 3 wins for South Carolina. By the way, both at Clemson. They've got to win in 2 weeks, and if they do, it'd be hard-pressed to be able to say why they're not becoming the premier program in the state. 2 out of 3 at Clemson, using the portal, willing to adapt, willing to change, willing to go get the best guys, while your rival in a terrible conference can't even win the conference anymore. What else do you need to say? You can't even win the conference anymore.
Yeah, and South Carolina doing it in a tougher league. Now, Cole, I do want to caution you there. You said winning 2 out of, if they got it done this year, they would win 2 out of 3. Well, that's true, but you could also say that Clemson's won 2 out of the last 4. If you go back to the COVID year, that didn't happen. If you want to use that as the break, then they've split 50-50 over the last 4 years. Look, I mean, we can have it as more of an off-season type of discussion. What does it take to truly take over the mantle of big brother, little brother? I mean, South Carolina and Clemson fans will tell you it's what happened last year. Right.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
That's what they care about. I mean, Clemson is 73-43 against South Carolina all time. It would take a 30-0 streak by South Carolina to even bring this thing. And that's not going to happen. Right. So I mean, to me, it's minimum 3 out of 5. Minimum 3 out of 5. And you got to win those games in dominant fashion. So, but I mean, look, South Carolina is on a trajectory that they can start another streak. I wouldn't say 5 in a row, but they could start another run where you win 3 out of 5.
But you know what? The only thing that matters for the next 365 days is winning next week.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it. And here's a fun question before we run to a break, Diesel. If I had to ask you and the listeners out there, you said it a minute ago, both teams have SoCon games. Clemson has Citadel. South Carolina has Wofford. Here's a fun question for you, and I don't know that we'll ever get the answer to it. But in the Clemson conversations, locker rooms, coaching meetings right now, in the South Carolina coaching circles right now, are they splitting time between preparation for the Citadel, preparation for Wofford? I mean, are you?
Well, that's why you pay the off-field analysts. The off-field analysts
you can't tell me they're not sitting here.
Yeah, the analysts have already done the work on Citadel. They're ready. They're moving on to South Carolina. That's what they're working on right now. Now, the coaching staff, the ones that are actually with the players day in and day out, they're installing whatever it takes against Citadel.
And I get that. But at the same time, man, like, these are 2 SoCon teams. Forget the prep. Like, I would almost – I know this would never happen. I would love, Diesel, for one of the coaches to come out and say, you know what? This game Saturday, it's important, but the next game's so important, we're not even prepping for the Citadel. We're prepping for Clemson. We're prepping for South Carolina. I want that level of honesty. We'll never get it, but that's what I want to hear.
They're well coached. They're disciplined. All that.
This is
garbage.
the best Citadel team we've seen.
We'll talk about that and other things with David Hood of TigerNet, a conversation that we had with him earlier in the show. If you missed it, that's coming up next right here on the Fan Upstate. Clemson gets the big road win at Pitt, 24-20 off the back of a big-time touchdown run late by Cade Klubnik to ice the game away. To talk about it, to break it down, and everything in between, we bring on David Hood of TigerNet. David, I'm going to go a little rogue and off-road and throw you a tough one to start here, okay? Dabo got chippy with refs in the post-game press conference about the hands to the face call. Josh Heupel at Tennessee openly called out refs' poor performances this year. A lot of other coaches have done the same thing. Why can we not professionalize referees? Why are we continuing with this charade of not pretending like a tremendous amount of money is involved here and that we can't afford professionalized referees? To me, it's kind of like not doing robo-umps in baseball. We have the technology to get it right. We have a next step to make things better, but we've refused to do it. What are the possible reasons why the NCAA won't professionalize the refs at this point?
Yeah, I think it's just because they're cheap, man. It's just befuddling to me to see, an official. And look, the right call was made, the one that Dabo was talking about, the blow to the head. That is the right call, but it wasn't made on the field. And the officials are sitting there huddling up during the timeout, and Narduzzi comes out and points at the video board, and they watch the video board, and then they throw the flag. You can't do that. And that's, some of the frustration that Dabo had. The targeting call on Sammy Brown, 100% a targeting call. That is truly the definition of targeting, leading with the helmet on that. So, but yeah, these conferences, you would take a big investment, because instead of paying these guys, $1,000 a game or whatever, all of a sudden you're going to have to pay them to step out of the careers that they have. And a lot of these guys are really successful people. I mean, they're insurance brokers and financial guys, not a lot of guys working for $8 an hour that are officiating, and they'd have to pay them a whole lot of money, and they're just not going to do it.
David, obviously Clemson got the win. We talked about earlier in the show the run by Cade. But when you look at Saturday's performance by Pitt, do you feel like they went into that game with the idea of making Cade beat them? Because they did a pretty good job of keeping Phil Maffa down on Saturday.
Well, that's just what Pitt does. Pitt's going to stop the run and, kind of make you make plays. They were in an I-man box a lot of the time. And, sitting there watching that game, and I'm like, okay, so I understand that you've got offensive line issues, but, roll your quarterback out a little bit, run a draw play, run a slip screen, just something to try and slow down that rush. But no, nothing surprises you with what Pitt did. That's exactly what they do. They want to completely blunt the running game, and then, every once in a while it's going to work where you get all of the interceptions like they did against Syracuse that day. And, they had 3 pick sixes, and, when it works like that, it's great. But they also had some issues with their offensive line, and I thought they put together a pretty good game plan.
David Hood of TigerNet.com joining us here on the Fan Upstate, Wire to Wire, with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Is Clemson's best football this season ahead of them or behind them?
Depends on who gets healthy and when. It's pretty obvious right now, and this goes back to the head-scratching, befuddling, I don't understand what's going on deal. Phil Maffa is not healthy, obviously. He is carrying around that shoulder like he's trying to carry around a piano, running out of bounds, avoiding contact, not at full speed. You can tell it when he runs. And yet they keep going back to him, and that's why this week, it's senior day, and maybe I would suit the kid up and get him a great carry for the Citadel and then wave him off the field and see if you can get him healthy, because that rivalry game takes on something else. I don't know that we're going to see left tackle Tristan Lee this week or left tackle Marcus Tate this week. I think those guys, might also be better suited for waiting a little bit. And, then they got to get Wade Woodass back. And I'm hearing Mickens is okay, the safety. But this team is talented, and they can play well. They just got to get people healthy. That's just kind of it right now.
You mentioned Wade Woodass. You tweeted out a photo, David, before the game of him in street clothes. What was the update you got before the game on why he didn't play, and also after on what it takes to get him back?
I the only thing that I got before the game was somebody who kind of winked at me as they walked by and said, "Hey, things happen in practice." And that was really, the only update that I've gotten. And, I think that, he's probably another situation just kind of based off what I've heard that, probably now you're not going to see him this week. And, maybe for South Carolina, just still don't know.
Talking to David Hood of TigerNet.com. David, statistically speaking, and just flow of the game wise, Saturday versus Pitt felt like the inverse of the Louisville game. Pitt had more yards, more first downs, more time of possession, yet the Tigers get the win. Was there any point before the clock hit all zeros when you felt like that win was safe, or were you waiting for the other shoe to drop at some point?
I felt like they were in great shape there at halftime, and then kind of even coming out of half. Then you start to get into that fourth quarter, and the offense. Somebody said, "Oh, you can tell Dabo's doing the play calling, and the offense has just gone into the shell. They're protecting the lead." I didn't think that at all. I thought they were just bad. I thought some of the play calls were still kind of aggressive, but bad. There was a throw that Cade missed wide open down the middle of the field that would have been a touchdown. There was another one that was dropped that I thought would have gone a long way. It was just bad. It just was bad execution. And, then all of a sudden you see it start to snowball a little bit. And Yarnell, the pick quarterback, he started to get some confidence, and they got to rolling. And then they also were smart. They took their tight end, and they were picking on Clemson's third-string linebacker. I thought D. Creighton did a fairly good job. I really do. But, the kid's not played a whole lot of snaps in his career, and all of a sudden you're out there in a, tough kind of environment going up against a guy that's a pretty good tight end.
David, what was your instant reaction when you heard the news that Clemson, South Carolina was going to be a noon kick?
Been hearing that for a while now, so it was just kind of like, well, that's what we've expected. Mm-hmm. It just seems like, I've heard that game day is in play for this game, and people say, oh, well, now the noon kick, not so. Well, they've had, noon kicks, and I just kind of felt like that's the way that this one was going to go. Not great for recruiting, not great for atmosphere, so everybody's got to kind of, grab a biscuit and go.
Yeah.
David, now that Clemson's ACC slate is over, and we know that the Dabo has always been, very strong and very big on compartmentalizing conference play. That is the most important thing. Well, now you got 2 more games to go, and I get that one of them is against an inferior opponent. Then you got the in-state rivalry game. Do you agree with that strategy of compartmentalizing your goals throughout the season, or do you personally wish Dabo would have a bigger picture mentality?
No, I think that those goals kind of actually work with younger people. I do. It just kind of, you don't want them thinking too far ahead or about other things other than kind of the game in front of you. And I saw it with him. This kind of changed really for him maybe back in 2013 during the South Carolina 5-game streak, and it was, let's worry about winning the ACC first, and then we'll worry about the games. If we win the ACC, the rest of it will take care of itself.
Hey, David, let's say, obviously we know what could happen to get Clemson in the ACC title game, which could get them in the playoff. But let's say things don't go the way of the Tigers when it comes to Miami and SMU down the stretch, and the season ends without an ACC championship appearance, without a playoff appearance. Do you think how Clemson fans view the success of the season at that point would solely come down to what they did against South Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a win over South Carolina helps, soothe some of the wounds. But, for a team to lose one conference game and one other to a top 5 team that feel like, was in the playoff conversation for a while there. And, hey, maybe a win over South Carolina puts you in the top, 13 or 14, and you're so close. I think that, a lot of the fans would say, hey, a trip to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I think I have this right. I think the Pop-Tarts Bowl has the first pick of an ACC team that doesn't make the college football playoff. So let's just say that SMU loses to Miami or Miami loses to SMU, and one of those teams doesn't make the playoff. The Pop-Tarts can pick those teams. and then Clemson would slide down maybe to a Holiday Bowl. Or maybe the playoff says, hey, we've got to pick, and we don't want SMU. We want Clemson to come back and be Pop-Tarts Bowl. If you're a Clemson fan, at the beginning of the season, would you have said that the Pop-Tarts Bowl or the Holiday Bowl would be a success?
Great answer.
Yeah, David, how do you think fans will react to that? I mean, Clemson has always traveled exceptionally well for playoff appearances, and I know it's been there was a common joke of maxing out. You're getting more credit cards just so you can go and see all of these road games, because Clemson was on the road for weeks at a time in the playoff scenario. Do you believe that Clemson fans will be satisfied enough to fill up a Pop-Tarts Bowl or a toilet bowl? Where's their mentality at, and how is it changing after multiple years of not making the playoff?
Well, it's funny. I think Clemson fans spent a whole lot of money during that run, and then we've kind of seen that fans just, with the economy and kind of since COVID, haven't traveled. And, I don't know how many fans would travel during Christmas, like the Holiday Bowl, I think is 2 days after Christmas. How many fans are going to go, you know what, I want to fly or drive all the way to San Diego 2 days after Christmas to watch them, play Oregon State or whoever. I think attendance would be affected. And, it might be just as simple as, hey, would Clemson accept, dropping down, another spot, or kind of going across and maybe going to a Gator Bowl? I don't know. I don't know what would drive attendance, but I just know with the college football playoffs this year starting December the 20th, yeah, you heard that right, December 20th, a lot of people are going to be kind of focused on all of that and maybe not so interested in other bowl games.
So with all that being said, David, where does that leave things? Where does that leave the standard that Dabo set?
Yeah, I think that leaves a whole lot of questions in the off season, and I think regardless of what happens, regardless if Clemson makes the college football playoff and loses, wins an ACC championship, makes the playoff, makes it to a Holiday Bowl, I think that there's still questions kind of, with the program, with the coaching staff. Is that House resolution, which should pass in April, is that going to help? What changes would he make? How are they going to attack the portal? I don't think any of that really changes.
David, what pieces and players do you, and I don't want to make this sound like we're pretending like the season is over, but I do like looking ahead here. What pieces and players do you believe are right where Clemson and Dabo wants them to be able to see an upward trajectory into next season? And do you see any position groups that may kind of be falling behind going into next year?
No, you know what? I think that they're fairly happy with everybody. I do wonder about the running backs, because you are seeing nothing but Phil Maffa. And Dabo said, "Mo Maffa, Mo better." I don't know about that. I don't know if they feel like they don't trust those guys. They miss, if it's just terrible coaching. But that would kind of be the one group that I would go, okay, what is going on there? Because you're losing Phil Maffa. You're going to lose Jake Brenning. So, man, everybody on that offense is coming back. You're going to lose Barrett Carter and R.J. Mickens, because in that defense, a lot of those guys are all coming back, and you're adding some good pieces that have redshirted. I know they're high about getting Dietrich Pennington back, Elijah Thurman on the offensive line. Mason Wade is a guy that I kind of feel like maybe they shouldn't have redshirted. Maybe they should have got him out on the field some more. I think they feel good about everything. To me, the big question is running back.
You think they should have got Jarvis Green, Dutch Fork guy out of Irmo, on the field more?
I mean, him or Jay Haynes or David Ezeume, I know they wanted a redshirt. Just somebody. I go back to that fourth down play against Pitt, and it's just obvious that Maffa's not 100%. And, they bring three tight ends to the strong side of the field and then run Maffa to the short side of the field, and he's slow right now. And you let a defensive end just kind of swallow him up, and you go, what is that? And do you not trust those guys? That's just the question. And, of course, you ask Dabo. We can't ask the running backs coach. Never talk to him. Can't ask the offensive coordinator. Really can't talk to him. But Dabo, do you like to go? We love our guy. Man, we love him. And that's the answer that you get. And I don't know. Maybe your eyes tell you more than what coaches say.
David, great stuff as always, man. Really appreciate you taking time. Hope you had a fantastic trip to Pitt, and we will talk to you next week as we always do on Mondays.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. David Hood, he's the best. Always willing to tell us. And look, I go on a lot of rants about Clemson media. And in those rants, just like I did on Friday, I always say, not talking about David Hood. David Hood does not sugarcoat it. He tells you how he feels. And I think he's right, Diesel. If this is what the season's come to, a freaking Pop-Tart Bowl. Congratulations, Clemson. Doesn't matter what happens against South Carolina in 2 weeks. Get your freaking Pop-Tarts, brown sugar and cinnamon, whatever it is. This is the standard you've set. This is the new Clemson standard. Strawberry, you like the blueberry better? I'm a brown
I like the
sugar.
chocolate one's better.
Chocolate, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine too. Well, guess what? You can have all you want if you're a Clemson fan. All right, Daily Wire's top headlines in sports. That's next. for that, Cole. They're not. What is that? Some kind of joke? What are they? What's the real spread tonight? Let me look. Don't let him, Diesel. Don't let him attack me like. Okay, how is
Matt Kraft's gotten real chippy now that we're coming down to, where the rubber meets the road with the Miami Hurricanes, and they lost a game, by the way. Matt Kraft's real touchy. Right
I
now.
thought you were going to say ever since he figured out how to make a phone call.
Well, he doesn't know how to show up to Sundays at Dave & Buster's.
Oh, I can't say anything. I can't say anything. I haven't either. But I'm going. Gosh,
I don't expect you to work 7 days a week.
No, but I'm not working. I'd be coming out, hanging out, eating chicken wings.
Houston are 7-point favorites.
So I'm going to plate the discussion we had here for tomorrow about Clemson and college game day. So tune in tomorrow, Tolos, for that. Houston favored by 7 tonight. Diesel, what am I missing here? C.J. Stroud versus a Dallas team with no quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Dak Prescott's hurt, done for the season. Houston, by the way, that game is okay. It's in Dallas, so in Arlington rather. 7
Are the
points
curtains going to be open for this game?
They will be open.
Oh,
Jerry will put curtains up for a fight, but not a $240 million quarterback. Basically, that's what he said.
So for I don't see anybody who's out for the Texans that really explains why this is only a 7-point spread.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Jeff Okudah, cornerback, offensive tackle Blake Fisher, cornerback Kamari Lassiter.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle, a whole lot of letters here that I can't say. Falarunso.
That's it. Yeah.
Falarunso Fadusaki.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
he's out.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Anderson.
Oh, Will Anderson. Yeah. Good name after that. Fadusaki.
Yeah, Fatusaki.
I don't know why it's 7, but I'll tell you this. If I can buy a point or two and get it down anymore, I will definitely. I don't like playing 7, though, because Diesel, if it was like last week, South Carolina favored by 14. I don't like playing a number that's a touchdown and an extra point. If it was 6.5, I'd take it. 7, it's iffy. It's tricky because if somehow, some way Dallas covers on a backdoor touchdown, you're talking about 7-point game and you've lost your, what. I don't like, if I can buy it down to 6.5 or maybe 5.5, I'm all in. I don't know why Dallas is only favored by 7 tonight.
Especially with CeeDee Lamb being questionable. I mean, your best wide receiver is out too.
That's not good. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they win. I think they lose. And just like every other game this season, Diesel, I think it's embarrassing.
Maybe they're just really high on Cooper Rush.
Oh, yeah, because there's so much reason to be high on Cooper Rush, for crying out loud. So give me the Texans in 7 tonight. And that comes from a Cowboys fan. Screw them. Screw Jerry. Screw the curtains. I'll take the Houston Texans. What do you think about that?
Go for it. Go. It's your money. It's not mine. By all means.
It's Odyssey's money.
Spend it. Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't know about that?
You really?
The free play we got?
I asked Ryan Horvat once if they got free money to bet. He said, no, we have to gamble our own money. I was like, whoa. You're getting paid to be here to talk about gambling, and you have to gamble your own money?
That's messed up, man.
Come on.
Guys,
we'll be back tomorrow to talk about a lot of different things. Clemson, South Carolina, Carolina Panthers, etc. That's tomorrow. Tolos.